Chapter 1580. 1580. The phoenix nailed to the wall one figure, after another rushed into the cave and disappeared. Senior brother, senior sister, how about we go in as well? Lu Ming went to Tian Shui and Xue Ningxin's side, and restored his original appearance. Alright, let's go in and take a look, Tian Shui said. Lu Ming, I'm not going in. Eden shook his head. Eden knew very well that with his cultivation level, it would be useless for him to enter. If he encountered danger, he would drag Lu Ming and the rest down. Lu Ming nodded, and did not say anything else. He, Tian Shui, and Xue Ningxin rushed toward the cave. The cave was huge, and there was a downward passage. At this moment, another phoenix's cry was heard. It came from the bottom of the cave, but the voice was low, weak, and full of despair. Boom, boom, boom. Following that, a terrifying boom came from below. Could it be that there's a great battle below? Lu Ming and the other two's expressions changed, and they became even more careful. They completely concealed their auras, and drew their saint weapons at any time. At the same time, Lu Ming was ready to bring Tian Shui and Xue Ningxin into the mountain and river diagram at any time. The passage was not long, and the three of them soon reached the end. At the end of the passage was a huge and wide underground cave. It seemed to be man-made. The moment Lu Ming and the other two entered the underground cave, they were stunned. They looked ahead in shock. There was a huge wall in front of the underground cave, and a phoenix was nailed to the wall. That's right, a divine bird phoenix was nailed to the wall. Its wings and legs were pierced through and nailed to the wall. Its neck was also locked to the wall. Fresh blood flowed from his wings, feet, and along the wall. At this moment, the phoenix was already very weak, and its breath was hanging by a thread. Bzzz. It let out a wail, its voice filled with despair. Lu Ming's heart trembled. It seemed that the phoenix's cry that had resounded throughout the Skywind Plains was made by this phoenix. It was filled with despair and unwillingness. A divine bird phoenix was nailed to the wall, and could only watch as it bled to death. How unwilling was this? Who did this? Boom, boom, boom. A violent boom interrupted Lu Ming's thoughts, and he shifted his gaze away from the phoenix. Below the wall was an ancient altar. The phoenix blood flowed along the wall and onto the altar, seeping into it. A mirror was floating above the altar. This mirror was carved with a phoenix pattern. Moreover, there was an illusionary image of a phoenix flying around the mirror. The bright light was emitted from this mirror. Bzzz. The cry of a phoenix rang out. It was intense, high-pitched, and filled with the domineering aura of the king of birds. Lu Ming finally knew that the phantom of the phoenix that had appeared on the mountain and the high-pitched cry had come from this mirror. There were indeed two different phoenix cries. One belonged to the phoenix, and the other belonged to the mirror. This mirror was covered in a halo, giving off a terrifying pressure. The 8 saints were all attacking the halo on the mirror. This kind of pressure, it seems to be the pressure of a great emperor? Lu Ming felt the mirror's pressure, and he was shocked. He had felt the pressure from Emperor Tsang and Shakyamuni annihilating Seoul before. They were extremely similar to this ancient mirror. They were existences on the same level. A monarch weapon. A word flashed in Lu Ming's mind. There was really a monarch weapon here. This is a formation. Then Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. He could see that the entire altar, as well as the ground around it, was covered with veined patterns that formed a grand formation. This is the grand ceiling formation. The monarch weapon is the core. The phoenix nailed to the wall is the key to breaking the formation. The blood that it shed can break the formation. At this moment, many thoughts flashed through Lu Ming's mind. Someone had injured the phoenix and nailed her here, using her blood that was filled with resentment to break the formation. But now, they had barged in, and the 8 sages were obviously attracted by the monarch weapon. They attacked the light ring with all their might, trying to get the monarch weapon. This way, it would be equivalent to helping to crack the formation. Lu Ming could see all of this. The 8 sages must have thought of this as well. However, they did not think about anything else now. The only thing in their eyes was the sovereign weapon. As long as he could get the monarch weapon, he didn't care what formation he broke. The 8 sages kept bombarding the light screen, and the underground cave kept shaking. The others watched from afar, unable to interfere at all. Kacha, After a while, the light curtain finally couldn't take it anymore. A crack appeared on the light curtain. Then the cracks increased and finally, the light curtain exploded with a bang. The light barrier shattered, and the cry of a phoenix resounded through the cave. "The monarch weapon is mine!" A sage expert of the heavenly god sect roared. "Dream on, you want a monarch weapon? Let's see if you have the ability." The saint of the Yudu sect also roared. His body was covered in poisonous gas as he rushed toward the saint of the Tianxin sect. At the same time, he formed a giant hand and grabbed at the ancient phoenix mirror. "Get lost! Anyone who blocks me will die. Kill! Chaos, complete chaos!" The formation's light screen shattered, and the 8 sages were thrown into chaos. They all rushed toward the ancient phoenix mirror and fought each other. The value of a monarch weapon was simply too high to imagine. Thump! A giant hand formed from poisonous gas grabbed onto the ancient phoenix mirror, but the mirror trembled, and a phoenix cried out. A pillar of light shot out from the mirror and destroyed the giant hand. But then, a giant hand made entirely of holy light also grabbed at the ancient phoenix mirror. Beezy! The ancient phoenix mirror let out a phoenix cry, and then a phoenix phantom rushed out, crushing the giant hand of holy light. Then the ancient phoenix mirror trembled and flew directly above. A huge cauldron, a saint weapon, came crashing down. It was meant to suppress the ancient phoenix mirror, but the mirror dodged the cauldron's attack with a flash. The cauldron failed to suppress the ancient phoenix mirror. The terrifying power hit the altar below, shattering it and sending rocks flying. Boom! On the other side, the ancient phoenix mirror hit the wall above him, sending gravel flying. The ancient phoenix mirror directly pierced through the mountain, creating a passage, and the ancient phoenix mirror flew out along the passage. "Where are you going?" "Chase!" The 8 saints rose into the sky and followed the tunnel created by the phoenix mirror. In the blink of an eye, all the saints had left the underground cave. At that moment, everyone's eyes were on Phoenix, who was pinned to the wall. It was obvious that this was a saint-level phoenix, and its entire body was full of treasures. Chapter 1581, 1581 Chapter 1581 Evil Spirits, Discipline King. They were not qualified to fight for the sovereign weapon, but now that the saint had left, they could not miss the phoenix. Buzz! And in BSB whoosh! One figure after another charged toward Phoenix, who was on the wall. "Get lost, you're looking for death. Kill!" Roars of anger rang out as all sorts of brilliant rays of light exploded, filled with terrifying killing intent. Instantly, dozens of experts were blown up in the air, and blood filled the air. Among them, Mo Yang was the most terrifying. As soon as he made his move, the sky was filled with black demonic fire. Anyone who touched it was immediately burned and turned into ashes. The half-saints of the Yudu sect and the Tianxin sect were also extremely terrifying. With a wave of their hands, powerful cultivators were killed one after another. The few of them were the fastest as they charged toward the phoenix. No one noticed that the blood of the people who were killed quickly seeped into the ground and disappeared after it scattered on the ground. At this moment, Lu Ming also rushed out. However, Lu Ming did not charge toward the phoenix. Instead, he charged toward the side of the altar. There was a stone plate the size of a basin with a Tai Chi pattern carved on it. When the altar was destroyed, this stone plate had flown out from the altar. Everyone thought that the formation on the altar only had one core, which was the ancient phoenix mirror. However, Lu Ming could tell that the formation on the altar actually had 2 cores. One of them was the ancient phoenix mirror, and the other was the stone plate. To be able to work together with the ancient phoenix mirror as the core of this formation, it was definitely not simple. Lu Ming reached out and grabbed the stone tray, but it did not move at all. "It's that heavy." Lu Ming was shocked. He tried to grab it but failed. This stone plate was heavier than a mountain. "I'll put away the mountain and river diagram first." Lu Ming's eyebrows glowed and shot out a beam of light that enveloped the stone plate. The stone plate was successfully kept into the mountain and river diagram. At this moment, Lu Ming suddenly felt a terrible sense of danger in his heart. This sense of danger made Lu Ming feel as if he was falling into an abyss. "Not good, it's dangerous." Without thinking, Lu Ming took a step forward and retreated rapidly. At the same time, Mo Yang, who was pouncing toward the phoenix, had a drastic change in his expression. He suddenly turned around and frantically retreated. All heaven's favorites have extremely sharp spiritual senses. They can sense the danger that is coming, and they can overcome the obstacles to reach the peak. Lu Ming was such a person, and Mo Yang was, without a doubt, such a person. Just as the two of them were retreating, wisps of black smoke rose from the altar and wrapped around a group of warriors. "Ah, what the hell is this?" someone shouted in fear. A terrifying scene happened. Anyone who was surrounded by the black smoke quickly shriveled up and turned into a dry corpse. It was the same as being devoured by Lu Ming's devouring power. "Ah, get lost!" The others screamed in fear and wanted to retreat, but it was too late. Those who were entangled by the black smoke turned into dried corpses. Break! Only a few half-saints could fight back. They took out their saint weapons and charged forward, dispersing the black smoke. However, after the black smoke was scattered, it gathered again and all the black smoke was surging toward one person. That person was a half-saint of the deity sect, who had once participated in besieging and killing Lu Ming. All the black smoke gathered and increased its power. The half-saint's saint weapon was useless. The black smoke was like small snakes, drilling into the half-saint's body. The half-saint let out a desperate scream and turned into a dry corpse like the others. "Let's go!" The few half-saints who had escaped were terrified. They roared and retreated quickly. The others were also extremely frightened and retreated to the tunnel behind them. Lu Ming, Tian Shui, and Xuaningxin blended in with the crowd and retreated toward the passage. However, when they approached the passage, the walls on both sides exploded with a loud bang. Figures appeared in a flash and surrounded the passage. These people were all wrapped in black robes, only revealing a pair of cold eyes. "Kill!" The moment these people appeared, they charged at Lu Ming and the rest without saying a word. Everyone was shocked. They didn't expect that there would be people hiding on the walls. After reaching the martial royal realm, it would not be too difficult for a martial royal to cut a big hole in the wall, flatten it, or even restore it to its original state, as long as one had mastered the earth domain or the mountain domain. However, everyone's attention had been drawn to the sovereign weapon and the phoenix. Caught off guard, a large number of experts were killed in an instant. Whoosh! Whoosh! Sword light flickered, and blood splashed in all directions. One figure after another fell. "Half-saints, so many half-saints!" Someone shouted in fear. There were at least 7 or 8 half-step saints among the black-robed men. The sword light flashed, and no one could block it. The most shocking thing was that there were a few black-robed men standing on the side. They didn't make a move, but the aura they gave off was extremely shocking. That was the might of a saint. The black-robed men were all saints. "Who are you people? How dare you kill the people of my Tianxin sect?" A half-saint of the Tianxin sect roared, but he was met with a terrifying sword light. Buzz! 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 The black-robed saints didn't attack them. Instead, they walked past them and appeared in front of the broken altar. They bowed and said in unison, "Welcome back to the world, Dharmaraja. Flesh and blood, I want flesh and blood." Under the altar, a shriveled and unpleasant sound came out. It made people's hair stand on end. "Lightning King." Lu Ming was shocked. These people were from Evil Spirit. Lu Ming's mind was racing. He finally knew what had happened here. There was actually an Evil Spirit cult master sealed in this place. Previously, the large array with the Tai Chi array disc and the ancient Phoenix mirror as the core was used to seal the Evil Spirit cult master. However, the Evil Spirit cult wanted to save their Shakyamuni, so they entered the windy plains and severely injured the divine bird Phoenix. Then, they nailed the divine bird Phoenix to the wall and used its blood, which was filled with resentment, to break the formation. Therefore, for the past half a month, the cries of phoenixes filled with unwillingness and despair could be heard from time to time, which attracted many experts. By the time the 8 Saint Realm experts entered, the power of the formation was already very weak. In order to fight for the ancient Phoenix mirror, the 8 Saint Realm experts broke the formation by force and shattered the altar, allowing the ancient Phoenix mirror to escape. This was equivalent to helping Evil Spirit cult greatly. Now evil spirits discipline king was about to come out of seclusion. Shakyamuni, we'll help you break the last formation first, a black-robed saint shouted. Then, the other black-robed saints started to attack the ground below the altar. There was another formation there, but it wasn't very strong. It was on the verge of collapse under the attacks of a few saints. Senior brother, senior sister, well, go through the air passage, Lu Ming roared. The three of them rushed towards the tunnel that had been pierced through by the ancient phoenix mirror. If they waited for evil spirits discipline king, or a few saints to come out, they would all die. Chapter 1582. 1582 Chapter 1582 Dharma Kings. Birth. The three of them wielded their saint weapons and sent the black-robed men flying. The others had the same thought as Lu Ming and the rest. They also rushed toward the passage above their heads. There were at least 100 people rushing towards the tunnel above them, and a portion of them were rushing towards the tunnel they had entered earlier. Kill. The black-robed men hunted with all their might, leaving behind a large number of corpses in the underground cave. However, there were many of them who had entered this time. Although a large number of them had been killed, there were still a few hundred of them who charged towards the two passages. Boom! At this moment, the underground cave shook violently. The formation was broken, and gravel flew everywhere. A dark cave appeared below, and a skeleton-like old man floated out of the cave. Flesh and blood, flesh and blood. The skeleton-like old man's hoarse voice rang out, after which he pounced towards the corpses that had been killed. Wisps of black smoke seeped out from the old man's body and enveloped the corpses. Immediately, the corpses quickly shriveled up. Even the blood on the ground was absorbed by the black mist. The skeleton-like old man's body also became plumper and had more luster. Haha, I, Shakyamuni Devourer, am finally out. The old man laughed, and his eyes were filled with a shocking blood-red light. Welcome back to the world, Dharmaraja. The black-robed saints bowed. You guys are not bad. Shakyamuni Spirit Devouring nodded. He then looked at the passage above and said, I need more flesh and blood. Kill. Then, Shakyamuni Spirit Devouring flew into the sky and chased after the passage above, followed by several saints. At that moment, Lu Ming and the rest had already rushed out of the passageway. As soon as he rushed out of the passage, he realized that the tornadoes that had been surrounding him had all disappeared. Even the tornadoes on the plane had disappeared. The plane had become an ordinary plane. Boom! Boom! In the sky, there were constant rumbles. Poisonous gas and holy light filled the world. At the same time, the cry of a phoenix could be heard. 8 saints were fighting in the sky for the phoenix mirror. No, not just 8 people. Lu Ming looked up and saw more than a dozen figures fighting in the sky. The entire sky was about to explode. The dozen of them were all sages. It was obvious that while they were in, another saint had arrived to take part in the fight for the phoenix mirror. The ancient phoenix mirror was surrounded by many saints. More than a dozen saints fought with each other, and no one could get the ancient phoenix mirror. Bang! Buzz! In the sky, a figure was sent flying, spitting out blood. A saint was injured. He was a saint from the Heaven God sect. There were strong and weak saints as well. Obviously, this person was one of the weaker ones in the saint realm. As soon as Lu Ming and the rest rushed out of the passage, they did not stop at all. They ran wildly out of the windy plains. Behind them, the evil spirit people gave chase. Elder, save me. Some people from the Heavenly God sect and the Udu sect shouted loudly, seeking help from the saint realm experts. What? The injured saint took a step forward and appeared above the crowd. He said, What's going on? There's an ambush in that cave. Many of us were killed by them. A disciple of the Heavenly God sect quickly replied. They let out a long breath when they saw the half-saint of the Heavenly God sect. Such great courage. A cold killing intent flashed in the eyes of the Heavenly God sect's saint realm expert. Just now he was the first one to be injured in the fight for the ancient phoenix mirror. He had been suppressing his anger in his heart, and had no place to vent it. Now he turned his target to the evil spirit cult. Kill. The saint from the Tianshan sect took a step forward. The sky was filled with saint light, forming a terrifying sword chi that charged towards the evil spirit cult. In an instant, More than a dozen evil spirit powerhouses were killed, including 2 half-saints. A saint stage expert could condense saint power. Once the saint power was released, the true origin could not resist it at all, and was instantly pierced through. Retreat! The rest of the evil spirit cultists retreated. However, Lu Ming, Tian Shui, and Xuaningxin did not stop at all. They continued to rush out. There was actually a guardian king level figure sealed here. Evil spirits' guardian kings were all emperor-level powerhouses. Even if they had been sealed for many years, they were still absolutely terrifying. It was better to leave now. The Tianxin sect saint naturally didn't know any of this. Saint light burst out from his body, and with a spirit that cared about the world, he stepped towards the people from evil spirit. How dare you kill the people of my Tianxin sect? Leave no one alive. The saint of the heavenly god sect coldly spoke. Oh really? Let's see how you're going to kill him. Hee. At this time, a sneer was heard. Shakyamuni spirit devouring flew out of the tunnel in the mountain. His body was covered in black smoke as he flew over. The saint realm expert of the Tianxin sect looked at Shakyamuni Shirling and frowned. He realized that he couldn't see through the other party, and didn't know his cultivation realm. However, he could feel that the other party seemed to be very weak, his chi and blood extremely weak. The old man whose chi and blood are about to be exhausted has also come to die. Kill! The saint of the Tianxin sect shouted coldly, as he condensed a spear of divine punishment in his hand. Whoosh! As the spear of divine punishment struck out, a terrifying whistling sound resounded in the sky. Even the space started to ripple. The spear of God's punishment used by a saint was too terrifying. It was completely condensed from saint power, and carried the power of laws. Lu Ming felt that even if he blocked it with a saint weapon, he would be pierced. Bang! The spear of divine punishment accurately hit Shakyamuni Devourer, who exploded. You can't even withstand a single blow. The heaven god sect saint sneered in disdain. Is that so? Ga ga ga. With a sneer, Shakyamuni Shirling turned into wisps of black smoke, and wrapped around the saint of the heaven god sect. How is that possible? Under the power of my laws, even a natural type spirit body would be seriously injured. The heaven god sect saint roared in disbelief. Some nature type spirit bodies, such as fire and lightning, had strong vitality. When their bodies collapsed, they could greatly reduce the damage. However, the power of the law was extremely harmful to this kind of spiritual body. The spear attack of the saint of the Tianxin sect could definitely injure the opponent, but it seemed that the opponent was not hurt at all. In the next moment, his expression changed drastically, because he felt the blood in his body boiling, as if it was going to be swallowed by the black smoke around him. Explode! Break! The saint of the Tianxin sect roared, and his saint power burst out, trying to destroy the black smoke of Discipline King Shirling. However, it was of no use. The black smoke dissipated, and once again condensed into small snakes, drilling into the body of the heaven god sect saint. This is the soul-devouring technique. Who are you? The heaven god sect saint cried out in fear. You're quite knowledgeable. You know about the soul-devouring technique. In the soul-devouring Shakyamuni, a cold laugh came from the black smoke. Shakyamuni spirit devourer? You're the spirit devourer of evil spirit. The eyes of the saint from the Tianxin sect widened, and he looked extremely frightened. Chapter 1583. 1583 Chapter 1583 Fallen Saint Evil Spirits Guardian Kings were all emperor-ranked powerhouses. There was actually a guardian king here? At this moment, Shakyamuni Devourer condensed his body again, and his palm pierced out like a knife. The saint of the Tianxin sect was so shocked that he forgot to retreat. His heart was pierced by Shakyamuni's palm. The terrifying soul-devouring force was crazily devouring the blood of the saint. No! The Tianxin sect saint struggled madly, but it was useless. The terrifying power of Discipline King Shirling poured into his body and exploded. His saint heart was shattered. The heaven god sect saint was dead. A saint was killed just like that. And it was only because Discipline King Spirit Devouring had been sealed for many years, and his strength had been greatly reduced. Otherwise, an emperor-level expert could kill a saint of the Tianxin sect with a snap of his fingers. Go, quickly go. The other party is Evil Spirit's Discipline King, a great emperor expert. At the scene, everyone was panicking and running away from the windy plains in a frenzy. As for Shakyamuni Shirling, he had absorbed the blood of a saint. His body was covered in blood light, and his aura was much stronger. The blood of a saint is indeed wonderful. There's still a lot of it here. Shakyamuni Spirit Devouring looked up into the sky, where there were still more than a dozen saints. Buzz! Shakyamuni Spirit Devouring stepped into the air and ascended. The dozen saints' pupils contracted. Just now, the saint of the Tianshan sect had been killed, and he had shouted loudly. They had naturally heard and seen it. Now that Shakyamuni Shirling was walking over, they were all shocked. Everyone, the other party is a great emperor expert. Even though he has been sealed for many years, he is still terrifying. We'd better join forces. A saint from the Yudu sect was the first to speak. Alright, I agree. I also agree. They could only join forces against Shakyamuni Spirit Devourer. Otherwise they would die. Bzz. At this moment, the ancient phoenix mirror let out a loud cry. It shone brightly, and seemed to have turned into a phoenix, breaking out of the encirclement. You want to leave after sealing me for so many years? You're courting death. Discipline King Spirit Devouring said coldly. He waved his palm, and a giant palm condensed and grabbed at the phoenix ancient mirror. The phoenix spread its wings, and a dazzling ray of light shot out. It pierced through the huge hand condensed by Discipline King Spirit Devourer, and rushed into the distance. Discipline King Soul Devouring frowned and didn't pursue. The dozen saints were afraid of him, so they didn't dare to pursue. In the blink of an eye, the ancient phoenix mirror disappeared from everyone's sight. On the Heavenly Wind Plains, a young man was running wildly towards the outside of the Heavenly Wind Plains. This person was Eden. He didn't enter the mountain but stayed outside. Then he saw the ancient phoenix mirror fly out, and more than a dozen saints participate in the battle. He knew that there was no point in staying. It was extremely dangerous. If he was swept by the aftermath of the battle between saints, he would die. Therefore, he decided to leave the breezy plains and observe in the dark. While he was running, a phoenix's cry rang out. Then, a rainbow light shot towards his body, entered it and disappeared. Eden's expression changed drastically. He carefully sensed for a moment, and revealed a look of ecstasy. Monarch weapon, ancient phoenix mirror. Eden murmured in a low voice. Then, he used his movement technique and flew out at an extreme speed, disappearing in the blink of an eye. On the other side, Discipline King Spirit Devouring looked at the dozen saints with a burning gaze. It was as if in his eyes, a saint realm expert was more attractive than an emperor weapon. Kill. Suddenly, Shakyamuni Spirit Devouring moved and attacked one of them. Attack! More than a dozen saints attacked at the same time. Terrifying attacks gathered and bombarded Shakyamuni Shirling. However, Shakyamuni Shiling's body was as light as a feather. He dodged the attacks with a slight flash, and continued to attack one of them. Help Dharmaraja! At this moment, a few black-robed men stepped into the sky and joined the battle. They were a few saints from Evil Spirit. They attacked and helped Discipline King Spirit Devouring restrain his opponent, making him even more comfortable. Buzz! And NBSB whoosh! Shakyamuni shivered and struck out with his palm. Wisps of black smoke spread out and rushed toward the saints. Shakyamuni devoured the previous saint, so he was obviously stronger. The saints seemed to be very afraid of the black smoke. They didn't dare to touch it. They kept attacking to disperse the black smoke. Some other attacks were aimed at Shakyamuni Shirling, but they seemed to be useless against him. His body collapsed and turned into wisps of black smoke. Die! Shakyamuni Spirit Devouring stared at one of the saints and kept attacking. That saint was from a small sect and was relatively weak. The saint's expression was ugly as he kept retreating. Lingyan steps. An ear-piercing sound came out of Shakyamuni Devourer's mouth. His body flickered and suddenly disappeared without a trace. Not good. The saint was shocked. He exploded his saint power and controlled the law to attack in all directions. But, Pucci, Shakyamuni Devouring Spirit had already appeared in front of him. His palm pierced through the saint's heart, and the terrifying power destroyed his saint heart. Then, it began to absorb the blood of the other party. Stop him! We can't let him continue to absorb blood. A saint from the Yudu sect roared and attacked Shakyamuni Shirling. The other saints also attacked him. Shakyamuni had been sealed for many years. His vitality was weak, so his strength was low. However, if the other party absorbed his blood, his strength would probably skyrocket. The terrifying attacks landed on Shakyamuni Shirling. His body exploded, turning into wisps of black smoke, and entering the body of the saint he had killed. Hee, you can't stop me. An evil voice came from the saint's body. His body shriveled up at a speed visible to the naked eye. Destroy his corpse. Die. Someone shouted. The terrifying attack landed on the saint's body and instantly cracked it. However, only a small amount of blood scattered and was rolled up by a cloud of black smoke. The blood was then sucked into the black smoke. Ga ga ga. As he laughed, Shakyamuni devoured his human form again. However, his body was plumper, and his aura was stronger. Spirit-destroying palm kill. Attack. Shakyamuni Devourer shouted. This time he directly attacked. He had absorbed the blood of 2 saints in a row, and his strength had increased greatly. He could now use some terrifying means. A terrifying palm print was formed, and it attacked one of the saints. Bang! The saint exploded and struck the palm print, but the result was that the saint's body shook violently, and he retreated while spitting blood. Hoo. Shakyamuni's spirit devouring struck out more than a dozen palm prints. They covered the sky and attacked the saints. More than a dozen saints roared and attacked to block, but in the end, they were all forced to retreat while spitting blood. Emperor-level experts were too powerful. As long as they recovered some of their strength, these ordinary saints wouldn't be able to resist them. Chapter 1584. 1584 Emperor of Holy War. At the same time, Evil Spirit and a few other saints also attacked together, aiming at one person. Bang! After blocking Shakyamuni's attack, the man was attacked by several other saints. He couldn't resist at all. With a scream, his body was cracked and he died on the spot. Wizard King Spirit Devouring turned into a cloud of black smoke and absorbed all the blood. Not good. The other saints were all shocked. Shakyamuni's strength was already shocking enough. Now he had absorbed the blood of another saint. His strength must be even more terrifying. Let's go. The dozen saints didn't dare to continue fighting. They turned around and ran. They came from different sects and weren't of one mind. At this moment of life and death, they all wanted to escape and let the others block them. Hee, if you want to escape, you'll all die. Master Spirit Devouring sneered and chased after the saints with a few evil spirit saints. The saint has been defeated. Run. There were still some people watching from below. They had thought that with more than a dozen saints working together, they would most likely be able to suppress the other party. They didn't expect to see this scene, and they were immediately scared out of their wits and began to run wildly. At that moment, Lu Ming, Tian Shui, and Xuanixin were almost out of the windy plains. They did not stop. Shakyamuni Spirit Devourer was an emperor-level powerhouse. Although there were more than a dozen saints, Lu Ming still felt that a dozen saints might not be of much use. Not good. The saints have been defeated. Tian Shui growled. Saint might filled the air. The saints scattered and fled in all directions. Let's go. Shakyamuni's target is the saints. Our cultivation is too weak. He won't target us now, Lu Ming said. The 3 of them continued to fly at high speed, and in the blink of an eye, they were out of the heavenly wind plains. Whoosh! At this moment, a terrifying sharp light pierced through the sky, and wind planes from the distant sky. It was a long spear, the spear of God's punishment. Another expert from the heavenly divine sect had arrived. This spear of divine punishment was extremely terrifying. It streaked across the void, as if it was going to pierce through it. Absolute saint. Shakyamuni devoured his voice and struck out with his palm, clashing with the spear of divine punishment. An earth-shattering boom rang out, and Shakyamuni shivered and retreated dozens of miles. In the distant void, a figure stepped on the air and arrived. It was a middle-aged man with a slender figure. It was obvious that he had been very handsome when he was young. His expression was very calm, but he exuded a supreme majesty. Sect Master, it's the Sect Master. Some of the disciples of the Heavenly God sect shouted when they saw this middle-aged man. Lu Ming and the other two were also shocked. The sect master of the Heavenly God sect had actually come in person. I didn't expect an evil spirit's guardian king to be sealed here. But he looks very weak. A cold voice rang out. The one who spoke was not the sect master of the Heaven God sect, but from the other side. A green-robed old man suddenly appeared. He was the one who had spoken. Sect master. The Desire Poison sect disciples cried out in shock. The Desire Poison sect's sect master had also arrived. He 2 absolute saints came. As long as I kill you, I should be able to recover 20% of my cultivation. Shakyamuni Devourer laughed. Shakyamuni Spirit Devouring, Yemo said. You still want to kill us in your current state? What a joke. Just leave. Leave the Azure continent, and I won't hold you accountable for what happened today. The Heavenly God sect's sect master calmly spoke. A mere absolute saint. What an arrogant tone. What if I don't retreat? Shakyamuni Devourer said coldly. If you don't retreat, I'll have to make you stay and completely destroy you. The sect master of the Heavenly God sect spoke, after which he turned to the sect master of the Desire Poison sect. Brother Wu, how about we work together? I was thinking the same thing. The sect master of the Desire Poison sect said. Then let me see what you juniors can do. Kill. Shakyamuni Spirit Devouring charged at the sect master of the Heavenly God sect. Boom. Boom. At the same time, the sect masters of the Tianshan sect and the Yuta sect both released terrifying auras and charged at Shakyamuni. Instantly, the entire area was covered in white holy light, green poisonous gas, and black smoke. Terrifying rumbles were heard continuously. Shakyamuni has been blocked. Let's go. Lu Ming did not hesitate at all. He took out the space-breaking flying shuttle. The 3 of them stepped into the space-breaking flying shuttle and flew away. In the blink of an eye, they disappeared from the place. The speed of the space-breaking flying shuttle was very fast, but it still took a few minutes for the terrible shaking in the heavenly wind plane to completely disappear. Damn, he actually got himself a great emperor. That was close. Tian Chui said with lingering fear in his heart. Emperor-ranked characters were truly too terrifying. For so many years, the Azure continent had only produced one Emperor Tsang. After Emperor Tsang, there was no other emperor. I wonder if the sect masters of the deity sect and the Yudu sect can stop Shakyamuni? Xuanixin said. The evil spirit cult was destroyed 80,000 years ago, and Discipline King Devourer was probably sealed by another great emperor 80,000 years ago. He's been extremely weak for so many years, but he's still a great emperor. It's hard to say if he has 2 absolute saints. Lu Ming said. However, all of this had nothing to do with them. With their strength, there was no point in worrying. They could not interfere at all. Ordinary saints couldn't even interfere with that kind of expert. They would be killed if they tried. I wonder how little Qing is doing. I didn't see her before. Lu Ming was a little worried. He took out his voice transmission jade talisman and was about to send a voice transmission to Xian Yanqing. However, as soon as he took out his jade talisman, he received a voice transmission from Xian Yanqing, asking him how he was. He was filled with worry. Since Xian Yanqing had sent him a voice transmission, it meant that Xian Yanqing was fine. Lu Ming heaved a sigh of relief. Lu Ming then replied to Xian Yanqing's message. Through the voice transmission jade talisman, Lu Ming knew that Xian Yanqing was now outside the Tianfeng Plains. A saint from the Tianyu demonic sect had come, and she was with him. Lu Ming adjusted his direction, and the space-breaking shuttle flew rapidly toward Xian Yanqing. Soon he saw Xian Yanqing. The 2 of them chatted for a while before bidding each other farewell. Lu Ming, Tian Chui, and the other 2 stepped onto the space-breaking flying shuttle again and headed for Dragon God Valley. The Heavenly Wind Plain was in the west of the Tsang region, while the Dragon God Valley was in the southeast of the Tsang region. The distance was very far, and it would take a long time even with the help of the space-breaking shuttle. 7 days later, they landed in a large city and asked for information. As expected, the matter of the Heavenly Wind Plains had already spread throughout the Tsang region. Lu Ming and the other 2 asked around and heard a lot of news. In the sky-wind plains, the spirit-devouring Shakyamuni of evil spirit reappeared in the world and killed several saints. Finally, he fought with the two sect masters of the deity sect and the Yudu sect. That battle was earth-shattering. In the end, disciplined King Shirling was too weak to fight against the two absolute saints. He was severely injured and escaped with a few of his saint minions. The rest of the evil spirit people were killed by the other saints. Even so, the people of the various sects in the Azure continent were still in a state of panic. There were rumors that evil spirit was about to rise again, and the world was about to be plunged into misery and suffering. Now a guardian king had broken out of the seal. Once he recovered in the future, how could they stop him when there was no emperor in the Azure continent? Many people could only hope that there would be emperor-ranked figures outside of the Azure continent who would take action to deal with evil spirit. After Lu Ming and the other two gathered some information, they continued to board the space-breaking flying shuttle and headed for Dragon God Valley. When he returned to the southeast of the Tsang region, Lu Ming readjusted the flying shuttle and headed for the Lu clan's castle. Lu Ming planned to make a trip to the Lu clan fort first to settle Feng Ling and the other Feng villagers there. He would also bring Xiangxiang Bela back to Dragon God Valley. Chapter 1585. 1585 Heaven-defying disciple soon. The Lu clan's fort was in sight. The three of them alighted from the spatial shuttle. After Lu Ming kept the spatial shuttle, the three of them stepped on the air and headed toward the Lu clan's fort. It's young Master Lu. The people from the Lu clan fort immediately recognized Lu Ming and welcomed him into the Lu clan fort. Junior brother Lu Ming, I can't believe you accepted a disciple here. I'd like to see it for myself. Tian Shui was extremely curious. Not only him, Xuanixin was also the same. They were still young. At this age, it was the golden age for cultivation. They would not usually take in disciples because they would be distracted. Only when they had reached a certain age, past the golden age of cultivation, would they consider taking in disciples. Moreover, Lu Ming was so young, and he had already accepted disciples. The disciple he accepted would definitely not be ordinary. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with anticipation. Xiangxiang Beila's talent was absolutely shocking. Now that they had not met for a year, what realm had Xiangxiang Beila's cultivation base reached? Young Master Lu. Lu Jinghao came over from a distance. Patriarch Lu, these two are my senior brother and senior sister. Lu Ming introduced Tian Shui and Xuanixin to Lu Jinghao. Lu Jinghao quickly saluted Tian Shui and Xuanixin. After that, everyone came to the main hall of the Lu family. After everyone took their seats, a maidservant naturally served them tea. Lu family head, where is Xiangxiang? Lu Ming asked. Xiangxiang is cultivating in seclusion. I've already asked Wanjun to call her. Lu Jinghao said. Patriarch Lu, I have a favor to ask of you. Lu Ming nodded. Young master, please speak. As long as the Lu clan can do it, we will do our best to help. Lu Jinghao said. Clan head Lu, you're being too serious. It's not a big deal. I have some friends who would like to settle down in the Lu clan fort. Is that possible? Lu Ming said. Of course you can. How many people are there? Lu Jinghao asked. A few hundred people, let's go out and take a look. With that, Lu Ming walked out of the hall and into the courtyard outside the hall. Then, he waved his hand and Feng Ling and the Feng family villagers all appeared in the courtyard. As soon as Feng Ling and the others appeared, they started to look around. Feng Ling village chief, it's me. Lu Ming said with a smile. You are? Big brother Lu? Feng Ling widened her eyes and looked at Lu Ming in surprise. Back then, Lu Ming had disguised himself. Now that he had restored his original appearance, Feng Ling, the village chief, and the rest naturally could not recognize him. It's me, village chief. We're already at the southeast of the Azure region. How about you guys stay here from now on? Lu Ming smiled. Brother Lu, I'll just follow your arrangements. The village chief said. Don't worry, young Master Lu. I'll get someone to arrange their accommodation. I'll definitely find a place with a good environment to settle them down. Lu Jinghao said. Then, he called a patriarch of the Lu family, Feng Ling, the village chief, and the others to settle down. In this way, one of Lu Ming's worries could be considered resolved. Master! A crisp voice was heard. A figure flashed, and a little girl of about 7 or 8 years old appeared in front of Lu Ming. It was Lu Xiangxiang. Lu Wanjun followed behind Xiangxiang. Xiangxiang, why aren't you paying your respects to your master? You don't know any manners. Lu Wanjun scolded him. Disciple pays respects to master. Xiangxiang Bela bowed to Lu Ming obediently. He no need. Come, let me introduce you. This is my senior brother. You should call him 7th senior uncle. This is my senior sister. You should call him 8th senior aunt. Lu Ming pointed at Tian Shui and Xuanixin and started to introduce them. Xiangxiang greets 7th martial uncle and 8th martial aunt. Xiangxiang obediently bowed to Tian Shui and Xuanixin. Haha, good girl, this is a gift from 8th martial aunt. Xuanixin took out a green bead and gave it to Xiangxiang. It was an emperor spiritual weapon as a greeting gift. Come, 7th uncle also has a gift for you. Tian Shui grinned as he took out an emperor spiritual weapon and gave it to Xiangxiang. Xiangxiang, your cultivation. You've reached LV9 Martial King Realm? At this moment, a look of surprise flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. I've just broken through to LV9 Martial King Realm a few days ago. Xiangxiang Bela nodded. Lu Ming's eyelids twitched. He was shocked. 1 year. In just 1 year, Xiangxiang Bela's cultivation had already broken through to LV9 Martial King Realm. This speed was simply too shocking. This was in the Lu clan fort, and they had not received the resources of a top sect to nurture them. This speed left Lu Ming dumbfounded. It's not bad to be able to reach LV9 Martial King Realm at this age. Xiangxiang, how long have you been cultivating? Tian Shui asked. Xiangxiang has been cultivating for a year. A year ago, Master taught me how to cultivate. Xiangxiang Bela said. A year's time is not bad. Wait, what? A year? Tian Shui started to nod his head, and immediately reacted. His mouth opened wider and wider, as he looked at Xiangxiang in disbelief. Xuanixin was also dumbfounded. A year ago, before he had even started cultivating, he had used only a year to reach LV9 Martial King Realm. This kind of speed had left Tian Shui and Xuanixin flabbergasted. Although this was the Yuan continent and many heavens pride experts cultivated at an amazing speed, they had never heard of anyone who had only spent a year to reach the 9th level of the Martial King Realm. On the side, Lu Wanjun and Lu Zhenghao were both excited and happy. To be honest, at the beginning, Xiangxiang Bela's cultivation speed had also shocked them. Now, it had completely turned into excitement. Xiangxiang Bela blinked her big eyes, curiously looking at the dumbstruck Tian Shui and Xuanixin. She really couldn't understand why her martial aunt and martial uncle were like this. After a long time, Tian Shui and Xuanixin finally reacted. Junior brother, I'm so envious that I can actually take in such a good disciple. If I had such a disciple, even if I don't cultivate, I'd still give her some good guidance. Tian Shui looked at Lu Ming with eyes full of envy, jealousy and hatred. Then, as a martial uncle, you must give me more guidance in the future. Lu Ming said with a smile. They chatted, and when night fell, Lu Zhenghao prepared a banquet for them. That night, Lu Ming and the few of them stayed in the Lu clan fort. The next morning, Lu Ming bade farewell to Lu Zhenghao and Lu Wanjun. Mother, grandfather, take care. Xiangxiang said goodbye to Lu Zhenghao and Lu Wanjun reluctantly. Xiangxiang, in the future, when you're in Dragon God Valley, you must listen to Master and cultivate well, understand? Lu Wanjun's eyes were full of reluctance, and tears began to fall. Mother, don't cry. Xiangxiang will find time to come and see you. Xiangxiang Bela said obediently. Then Xiangxiang said goodbye to Lu Zhenghao. Lu family head, young madam, we'll meet again. Lu Ming cupped his fists and left with Xiangxiang, disappearing from Lu Zhenghao in the other's sight. After flying for a while, Lu Ming took out the space-breaking flying shuttle. The four of them stepped into the space-breaking flying shuttle and headed for Dragon God Valley. It was Xiangxiang Bela's first time riding on a space-breaking flying shuttle, and she had a child's temperament. She quickly threw the sadness of separation to the back of her mind and looked around. She then pulled Lu Ming and asked him all sorts of questions. She was extremely curious. Chapter 1586. 1586 Tai Chi Formation. Plate. The Lu clan fort was very close to Dragon God Valley. They arrived not long after they took the space-breaking shuttle. As they approached Dragon God Valley, everyone got off the space-breaking shuttle and stepped into the Dragon God Valley, heading towards Cloud Dragon Valley. Xiang Xiang, are you cold? Lu Ming turned to look at Xiang Xiang. The little girl's face was red from the cold. I'm not. Xiang Xiang Bela shook her head. A layer of green radiance emanated from her body to resist the cold air outside. Below them, the snow mountain passed by their feet. Soon they arrived at Cloud Dragon Valley. Minger, come to my immortal's cave. As soon as Lu Ming and the rest stepped into Cloud Dragon Valley, the Valley Master's voice rang in Lu Ming's ears. With the Cloud Dragon Valley Master's realm, his spiritual sense covered the entire Cloud Dragon Valley. It wasn't difficult for him to know that they had returned. Senior brother, senior sister, Master is looking for me. I'll go to Master's cave first. Lu Ming said. Alright then, junior brother should go quickly. Let's return to the cave dwelling first. Xuaningxin said. Lu Ming nodded. He brought Xiang Xiang Bela and headed towards the depths of Cloud Dragon Valley. Soon, Lu Ming arrived at the cave abode of the Cloud Dragon Valley Master. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master was sitting cross-legged on a futon in the cave abode. Disciple Lu Ming greets Master. Lu Ming cupped his fists and bowed to the Cloud Dragon Valley Master. Grand Disciple Lu Xiangxiang pays her respects to Grand Master. Lu Xiangxiang was very obedient. When she saw Lu Ming bow, she quickly followed suit. What? The Cloud Dragon Valley Master was slightly taken aback. He looked at Xiangxiang Bela and said, Minger, is this your disciple? Yes, this is the disciple I took in a year ago. I'll need more guidance from Master in the future. Lu Ming said. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master carefully sized up Xiangxiang Bela. Then his eyes flickered, revealing a look of surprise. Following that, the Cloud Dragon Valley Master's eyes seemed to flash as he carefully stared at Xiangxiang Bela. The more he looked, the stronger the light in his eyes became. Finally, a look of shock flashed across his face. Minger, your disciple is amazing, the Cloud Dragon Valley Master exclaimed. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He knew that the Cloud Dragon Valley Master could tell that Xiangxiang Bela was extraordinary. Little girl, come here and let Grandmaster take a good look, the Cloud Dragon Valley Master said gently. Yes, Master. Xiangxiang Bela walked over obediently to the side of the Cloud Dragon Valley Master. Ha ha ha, what a sensible girl. Well, little girl, your master may not have so much time to guide you. In the future, Grandmaster will guide you in your cultivation. Cloud Dragon Valley rubbed Xiangxiang Bela's little head and laughed. Many thanks, Master. Lu Ming was also overjoyed. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master's cultivation was much higher than his. It was unfathomable. Xiangxiang Bela's guidance from him would be much better than his. Yes, Minger. You've been away for a year. How's the removal of the killing intent in the depths of your soul? The Cloud Dragon Valley Master's tone changed. It's already been cleaned up. Lu Ming nodded. That's good. Minger, I have bad news for you. A few days ago, I received news that the deity of the Tianshan sect has broken through to the Sage Realm. Cloud Dragon Valley said with a serious expression. Did the Divine Sun break through to the Saint Realm? Lu Ming raised his eyebrows. Minger, there's still a year and a half before the next treasure sealing assembly. In this year and a half, even if you cultivate with all your might, I'm afraid it'll be difficult for you to catch up to the Divine Child. So, Master will send you to a place where you might have a chance to fight for it. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master said. Master, what is that place? Lu Ming asked curiously. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master had said a year ago that he would send him to a place and ask him to come back a year later. Lu Ming had always been very curious. That place is called the 100 Tribe Battlefield. It's an extremely dangerous place, but it's also a place filled with endless opportunities. Only by going there will you have a chance of fighting the Divine Sun in the next treasure-fixing assembly. I'll tell you the details when we arrive at the starting point. Alright, take Xiangxiang out. Arrange her residence, and show her around Cloud Dragon Valley. We'll set off in 3 days. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master said. Lu Ming nodded and bade farewell to the Cloud Dragon Valley Master. He left the cave abode with Xiangxiang Bela. After that, Lu Ming picked a cave abode near his, and let Xiangxiang Bela stay in it. Cloud Dragon Valley was huge, and had many cave abodes. However, there were only about 100 people in the cave abode, so most of the cave abodes were empty. Xiangxiang, if you have any questions about your cultivation during this period of time, you can ask me. Lu Ming said to Xiangxiang. Yes, master, I have some questions to ask. Xiangxiang Bela nodded, and began to ask all the questions that she had encountered during this period of time. Lu Ming patiently answered them one by one. Half a day later, Xiangxiang Bela returned to her cave dwelling to cultivate in satisfaction. Lu Ming appeared in the mountain and river diagram. He was refining his second body, and sitting cross-legged on a mountain peak in the mountain and river diagram. A stone plate was suspended above his head, emitting a vast and terrifying aura. This stone plate was the Tai Chi stone plate that he had obtained from the heavenly wind plains. During this period of time, he had been studying the inscription secondary body. In the end, he concluded that this was a formation disc, a terrifying formation disc. With the help of this formation disc, the Minglian secondary body had lit up 2 mental lamps in a short time. Now he had already lit up 8 spirit lamps. In the past year, his second body had been cultivating and had made great progress. With the second body's current cultivation, it was completely enough to communicate with the laws through inscriptions and try to use the power of the laws to enter the half-saint realm. However, Lu Ming would not do that now. 8 spirit lamps were too few. He needed to light 10 spirit lamps before he would consider entering the half-saint realm. Lu Ming called this array disc the Tai Chi array disc. Buzz! With a thought, golden mental energy fire spread out between the eyebrows of the Minglian clone and poured into the Tai Chi formation disc. Instantly, the Tai Chi formation disc lit up, and a Tai Chi yin-yang diagram appeared, emitting a terrifying pressure. The yin-yang Taiji diagram seemed to contain a terrifying power of killing and sealing. It was very likely that this was a monarch weapon, on the same level as the ancient phoenix mirror. With the cultivation of the inscription secondary body, it was difficult for it to unleash even 1/10,000th of the power of the Tai Chi formation disc. Even so, Lu Ming felt that Ming Lian's clone could easily kill a LV9 martial royal realm expert, or even an ordinary half-saint by controlling the Tai Chi disc array. Lu Ming's face revealed a satisfied smile. He had gained a lot from this trip to the windy plains. Just this Tai Chi formation plate alone was a priceless treasure. It would greatly increase Lu Ming's combat strength and refine his second body, which would become Lu Ming's strongest trump card. After looking at it for a while, Lu Ming exited the mountain and river diagram and closed his eyes to cultivate. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. Lu Ming told Xiangxiang to stay in Cloud Dragon Valley at ease, while he went to the cave abode of the Cloud Dragon Valley Master once again. Ming-er, I will take you to the Cloud Emperor Mountain first. If you want to go to the 100-tribe battlefield, you must go from the Cloud Emperor Mountain. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master explained. Cloud Emperor Mountain? Lu Ming was puzzled. He had never heard of such a place in the Azure region. The Cloud King Mountain is not located in the Azure continent. It is located in another continent near the Azure continent, called the Cloud Continent. The Cloud King Mountain is the most powerful force in the Cloud Continent, and it is guarded by a monarch-level expert. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master continued to explain. Chapter 1587, 1587 Emperor Rank Power, and the 100-Clan Battlefield, an Emperor Rank Power. Lu Ming was shocked. An Emperor Rank Power had a great emperor overseeing it. It was stronger than any sect in the Azure continent, or even stronger than all the sects in the Azure continent combined. Having a great emperor in charge, and not having one were two completely different things. However, some of the books that Lu Ming had read before only introduced the Azure region. There was very little information about the regions outside the Azure region. The Yuan continent is vast and boundless. Every emperor-level expert can occupy a territory and establish a force. That territory is a state, and is called by the name of the emperor. The great emperor of the Cloud King Mountain is called Emperor Yin. Therefore, the region where Emperor Yin is located is called the Cloud Continent. Our Azure Continent originated from Emperor Tsong. If there is a new great emperor in the Azure Continent in the future, the name might change. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master explained. A great emperor can build a prefecture. Lu Ming could not help but look forward to it. The Azure Continent was so vast, yet it was only a territory that Emperor Tsong occupied. Master, how many large provinces are there in the Yuan continent? Lu Ming asked curiously. The Valley Master shook his head. The Yuan continent is too big. There are countless provinces. I don't know either. Countless big provinces? Lu Ming was dumbfounded. One continent represented one emperor. Were there that many emperors in the Yuan continent? Ming Master has a map of the regions near the Azure region. Take a good look at it on the way. The Valley Master of Cloud Dragon Valley took out a jade talisman and handed it to Lu Ming. Then, with a wave of his hand, he rose into the air with Lu Ming and appeared outside Dragon God Valley. With a wave of his hand, an air-breaking flying shuttle appeared in the sky. The flying shuttle was purple gold in color and had a smooth curve. There were strange patterns carved on it, which looked very beautiful. One look, and one could tell that it was much more advanced than the space-breaking flying shuttle that Lu Ming had. Ming, come up. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master stepped into the space-breaking flying shuttle, followed by Lu Ming. Whoosh! The Cloud Dragon Valley Master controlled the space-breaking flying shuttle. It turned into a beam of light and disappeared. What a fast speed! Lu Ming looked outside through the crystal glass. The mountains and rivers below passed by in the blink of an eye. The speed was unbelievable. It was at least 10 times faster than his space-breaking flying shuttle. This was definitely a top-grade flying shuttle. Lu Ming looked at it for a while before he sat down cross-legged and took out the jade talisman given to him by the Cloud Dragon Valley Master. With a sweep of his spiritual senses, a map was reflected in Lu Ming's mind. This map was divided into different regions, and each region was a large province. There were dozens of large provinces recorded in it, all of which were large provinces near the Azure province. The Gray region was located in the southeast of the map and was close to the Boundless Sea. The Cloud Emperor Mountain was located in the Cloud region and was in the northwest of the Gray region. That is, the Di family of the Di state. Suddenly Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. To the north of the Azure region was another large region, called the Emperor region. It was marked that the Emperor region was under the control of the Di family. Could it be Di? Di Xian's family, the Di family, actually has a great emperor in charge. Lu Ming frowned slightly. I once injured Di Xian in the Divine Wilderness continent. I'm afraid that this person will not let this matter rest so easily. In the future, I have to find an opportunity to get rid of this person to prevent any future trouble. Lu Ming pondered in his heart. Then, Lu Ming imprinted the map in his heart and cultivated quietly. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master's flying shuttle was simply too fast. In just 2 days, it had crossed the entire Azure region and entered the Cloud region, arriving before a vast mountain. Here the two of them got off the space-breaking flying shuttle. What a majestic mountain! Lu Ming could not help but sigh as he looked at the mountain in front of him. The Gray Mountain was already majestic enough, but compared to the one in front of him, there was still a huge gap. Was this the Cloud Emperor Mountain? Looking at the mountain from afar, Lu Ming felt a supreme majesty emanating from the Cloud Emperor Mountain. This majesty seemed to be standing at the peak of all living beings, and everyone had to bow down to it. This was the majesty of a great emperor. A great emperor was hiding in this mountain. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master took out a voice transmission jade talisman and sent out a message. Not long after, a white-robed old man stepped out of the Cloud Emperor Mountain. Brother Yin, why are you so free today to come to my Cloud Emperor Mountain? The white-robed old man smiled. It's nothing big. I just wanted to send my disciple to the 100-clan battlefield, so I came to visit your old friend. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master said. Haha, it's just a fake that you've come to see me. It's true that you're sending your disciple into the 100-clan battlefield. The white-robed elder laughed and looked at Lu Ming. Brother Yun, your disciple's cultivation is only at the peak of the 6th level martial royal realm. Isn't it a little too low to enter the 100-clan battlefield? Danger lurks at every step in the 100-clan battlefield. It's fine. Only danger has the effect of tempering. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master said. That's good. Come with me. The Cloud Emperor Mountain will be arranging a group of young Heaven's Pride experts to enter the 100-tribe battlefield to train. You can go with them so that you can look out for each other. The white-robed elder said. Then, he brought Lu Ming and the Cloud Dragon Valley Master into the Cloud Emperor Mountain and arranged a courtyard for them to stay in. Brother Yin, you guys stay here for 2 days. I'll bring this little fellow to the 100-clan battlefield in 2 days. The white-robed old man said his goodbyes and left. Ming, you must be very curious about what kind of place the 100-clan battlefield is, right? At that moment, the Valley Master looked at Lu Ming. Lu Ming nodded. He was indeed very curious. It's said that in the ancient times, a war of the 100 races took place in that area. That war was extremely tragic and the sky collapsed. Legend has it that many Emperor-level experts died. That was the 100 races battlefield. In the 100-clan battlefield, too many experts have died, especially the Emperor-level experts. As a result, the laws of heaven and earth in that area have become chaotic and chaotic. The experts of the Sage Realm can't enter because of their domain laws. Once they enter, they will be affected by the chaotic laws, causing their laws to become chaotic. Once there were experts of the Sage Realm who entered. In the worst case, they died from the chaos of the laws. And in the worst case, their cultivation was completely crippled. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master explained. It's that terrifying. Lu Ming was shocked. That's right. That's why experts above the Saint Realm don't dare to enter the 100-clan battlefield. Only those below the Saint Realm can enter. Some half-saints have comprehended nomological laws, but are not strong enough to enter. In addition, there are too many experts who participated in the 100-clan battlefield, and too many experts have died. There are countless treasures buried there, and it's simply a huge treasure trove. Many Emperor-ranked powers will send their experts there, and as time passed, it became a place for geniuses to train. Now, it's become the first choice for geniuses of the various Emperor-ranked powers to train. One by one, the peerless geniuses of the Emperor-ranked powers will enter, tempering themselves in the face of life and death, seeking a breakthrough. That's why it's said that there's a place where opportunity and danger coexist. Because many geniuses enter with the purpose of tempering themselves, there's no need for a reason to make a move there. As long as someone thinks you're worth tempering, they'll make a move on you. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master explained everything in detail. Then, he looked at Lu Ming with bright eyes and said, Ming, do you dare to go to such a place? Chapter 1588. 1588 Chapter 1588 Entering the 100-clan battlefield. Why not? That's just what I want. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with anticipation and a strong desire to fight. The battlefield of the 100 races was actually a training ground for the geniuses of the various Emperor-ranked powers. How many geniuses would be gathered there? Lu Ming could feel the blood in his body starting to boil. It was only interesting this way. He could only force Lu Ming to advance quickly by clashing with the other prodigies. Ming, I didn't misjudge you. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master smiled. But in the next moment, his smile disappeared. His face turned serious as he said, Cultivators, especially geniuses, can often develop their potential and break through the shackles to surpass themselves when faced with a life-and-death crisis. Therefore, anyone who dares to enter the 100-clan battlefield is a genius among geniuses. They are also mentally tough and have terrifying combat abilities. This is because ordinary people don't dare to enter. Life-and-death battles are too common in the 100-clan battlefield. So, Ming, you must be careful. You can't let your guard down. Your disciple understands. Lu Ming nodded. Yes, I have an introduction to the 100-clan battlefield here. Take a look. I'll be of some help to you. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master took out another jade talisman and handed it to Lu Ming. Then, the two of them returned to their respective rooms. Lu Ming took out the jade talisman and started to read it. In the blink of an eye, 2 days had passed. 2 days later, the white-robed old man came to the courtyard. Little guy, come with me. The white-robed old man smiled. Master, disciple will take his leave. Lu Ming cupped his fists at the Cloud Dragon Valley Master. Go, Master believes in you. In the next treasure auction, you will definitely be able to defeat a strong enemy. At that time, you will be able to look down on the Azure region's younger generation. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master said. Haha, Brother Yin, you're quite confident in your disciple. The white-robed elder smiled and waved his hand. A wave of energy enveloped Lu Ming and took him into the sky. After a while, the white-robed elder brought Lu Ming to a canyon. In the canyon, there was a huge altar that was engraved with inscriptions. Teleportation altar. Lu Ming could tell that it was a teleportation altar. This was the first time he had seen a teleportation altar in the Yuan continent. The space of the Yuan continent was too stable. If one wanted to set up a teleportation altar and teleport across regions, the price would be extremely high, and the amount of resources needed would also be shocking. In the Dragon God Valley, there were only teleportation altars to the ocean. There were no other teleportation altars to the other parts of the Yuan continent. Perhaps only emperor-level forces had them. There were 4 young men beside the altar, 1 woman and 3 men. The woman was tall and wore a silver armor, but it still couldn't hide her hot figure. She looked very heroic. The other 3 young men were all wearing white robes with clouds embroidered on them. When the white-robed elder arrived with Lu Ming, the 4 young men looked at Lu Ming curiously. Let me introduce him to you. His name is Lu Ming, and he will be going to the 100-clan battlefield with you. The white-robed old man gave a simple introduction. Lu Ming? I've never heard of this name before. One of the young men asked with a puzzled expression. This person had a head full of dark green hair and looked very conspicuous. He's not from the Cloud Emperor Mountain. He's from the Azure Continent. The white-robed old man introduced. The Azure Continent. Hearing that Lu Ming came from the Azure Continent, the green-haired youth's eyes revealed a hint of contempt. He studied Lu Ming for a moment and said, You're only at the 6th level of the martial royal realm, yet you want to enter the 100-clan battlefield. You're simply courting death. Oh, be careful when we enter the 100-clan battlefield. Lu Ming furrowed his brows. Be careful? Don't tell me you're thinking of relying on us. I'm telling you, we won't save you if you run into danger in the 100-clan battlefield. The green-haired youth sneered, and his contempt grew. I will be responsible for my own life. If I am killed in any danger, it can only be considered that I am not skilled enough. Lu Ming's voice turned cold. The green-haired youth's tone made him very unhappy. Seeing that Lu Ming actually dared to talk to him with a cold face, the green-haired young man snorted coldly. A sharp glint flashed in his eyes as he said, Trash from the Azure Continent. Let's see how you die. Yunkai, enough. At this time, the silver-armored woman berated. The green-haired young man seemed to be very afraid of the silver-armored woman. He sneered and didn't say anything more. Lu Ming, my name is Yinshi. The silver-armored woman introduced herself. Hello. Lu Ming nodded. Lu Ming, you don't have to take Yinkai's words to heart. Since you're entering the 100-clan battlefield with us, we'll naturally take care of each other when the time comes. Yinshi said. In other words, if they were to encounter any danger, they would take care of Lu Ming to the best of their abilities. These geniuses of emperor-ranked powers had a sense of superiority that came from their bones when they faced people who weren't from emperor-ranked powers. Although Yunshi was friendly, she still had a faint sense of superiority. Lu Ming smiled faintly. He did not comment nor explain. Lu Ming, the 2 of them are called Yin Feng and Yin Kai. Then, Yunshi introduced the other 2 young men to Lu Ming. The other 2 young men nodded at Lu Ming indifferently. All right, now that you know each other, let's go. The white-robed old man said. Everyone nodded and stepped onto the teleportation altar. The white-robed elder waved his hand, and the altar began to glow. A space door was formed in Lu Ming, and the 5 of them stepped into it. The world spun, and Lu Ming felt his vision go dark. What a powerful spatial rotation! Lu Ming had a thought in his mind. The more stable the space was, the stronger the spinning force would be during the teleportation. The next moment, the spinning force disappeared, and Lu Ming found himself on a huge platform. The platform should be located on the peak of a mountain. Looking into the distance, what came into view was a hilly area with no end in sight. The 100 Clan battlefield is up ahead. We're outside the 100 Clan battlefield right now. Yin Shi said. Lu Ming nodded. He had read the introduction of the 100 Clan battlefield, given to him by the Cloud Dragon Valley Master. Any Emperor-level forces who wanted to enter the 100 Clan battlefield could only be teleported outside. Teleportation formations could not be built in the 100 Clan battlefield, as the laws were too chaotic. Let's go, Yin Shi said and flew forward first. This team was led by Yin Shi. Her cultivation was the highest, reaching the LV9 Martial Royal Realm. The other three were all at the LV8 Martial Royal Realm. Moreover, those who dared to enter the 100 Clan battlefield to train were all very powerful. Lu Ming estimated that Yin Shi and the other three had superior Great Earth spiritual bodies. The 5 of them flew forward, and not long after, a deep ditch appeared in front of them. This ravine was created by later generations. It's a sign that the area in front of the ravine is the official entrance to the 100 Clan battlefield. Yin Shi said. The 5 of them flew over the deep trench. As soon as they flew past the deep trench, Lu Ming felt that something was not right. He extended his spiritual senses and discovered that the laws of heaven and earth were indeed in a mess. Chapter 1589. 1589 The Killer of Thousand Kill Manor. This kind of chaos could not be seen with the naked eye. In fact, if one's cultivation was too low, one would not even be able to sense it. Only when one reached a certain realm would one be able to sense it. However, they were not saints, so the chaotic laws did not affect them much. The 100-tribe battlefield had taken place in ancient times, and it had happened a long time ago. The earth was reinvigorated, just like the outside world, except for the chaotic laws of the world. At this point, the 5 of them concealed their auras and became more careful. The closer we get to the center of the 100 Clan battlefield, the more experts there will be. We should be fine if we're careful on the periphery, Yin Shi said in a low voice. The few of them nodded. In the 100-tribe battlefield, the closer to the center of the 100-tribe war, the more powerful the participants were. Naturally, many treasures were left behind. Therefore, the more powerful the heaven's favorites are, the more they would gather in the center to search for opportunities. At the same time, they would find opponents to train themselves. On the outside, some of the weaker heaven's favorites were active. The 5 of them ran forward and did not encounter any danger. Occasionally, they would encounter some demonic beasts, but most of them were not of a high level. The 100 Clan battlefield was extremely huge. They soon covered tens of thousands of miles. Whoosh! Right at this moment, an extremely soft sound was heard. Yin Feng let out a blood-curdling screech as one of his arms flew off, blood splattering everywhere. Not good, someone's ambushing us. The expressions of Yin Shi and the others changed drastically. Whoosh! The faint sound of something breaking through the air rang out again. Retreat! Yin Shi shouted and quickly retreated. The others followed suit. They had retreated fast enough, but Yin Ke was still hit. A deep sword wound appeared on his chest and blood flowed out. His spiritual body squirmed wildly, wanting to recover, but it seemed to be blocked by a terrifying killing intent that was constantly destroying his spiritual body, making his wound difficult to recover in a short time. It was the same for Yin Feng. One of his arms had been cut off. He wanted to regrow it, but a terrifying killing intent prevented his spirit body from regrowing. 1,000-kill swordsmanship. There from 1,000-kill mansion, Yin Kai roared, his face filled with fear. Whoosh! At this moment, another faint sound rang out. It was as if a sword light was heading towards Yin Kai. He could only feel a faint fluctuation, but he couldn't see the attacker. He couldn't even see the sword light. It was extremely terrifying. A silver spear appeared in Yun Zai's hand, and she swept it out. Clang! Yun Zai's long spear seemed to have collided with a combat sword. With a loud boom, she blocked the sword. Yin Kai was so frightened that his cold body began to flow. A battle sword appeared in his hand, exuding a terrifying aura. It was obviously a holy weapon. At the same time, Yun Kai and Yun Feng both took out their saint weapons. The geniuses of emperor-ranked forces naturally didn't lack saint weapons. It's the hiding technique in Shadowless Sword of Thousand Kills Mansion. Let's surround him and prevent him from launching a sneak attack. Yun Shi shouted. The 5 of them immediately formed a circle and looked around nervously. Fuck. How unlucky. We've just entered the 100-clan battlefield, and we've already encountered assassins from the 1,000-kill mansion. Yun Kai angrily shouted. Now, he had finally obliterated that terrifying killing intent, and the wound on his chest began to recover. As for Yun Feng, his arm started to regrow. Lu Ming, guard your direction well. If you can't, get lost quickly so you don't get us involved. Yun Kai coldly said. Whoosh. At this moment, a soft sound was heard again. This time, it was aimed at Yun Shi. Yun Xiao's pupils rapidly contracted, and he swept his long spear horizontally. However, when he swept it out, he realized that he had missed. The spear swept through the air, and with a swish, the sword light pierced toward Yun Kai. Get lost, die. Yun Kai roared as he slashed out with his sword. The power was terrifying. Yun Kai's cultivation was at the peak of the LV8 martial royal realm. It was obvious that he had an upper-class earth spiritual body. He could easily kill a peak LV9 martial royal realm expert with a full-force slash by controlling his holy weapon. However, the sword still missed. The sword chi landed on the ground and left a sword mark that was several miles long and dozens of meters deep. It split a hill in half. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The sound of the sword breaking through the air rang out continuously. The terrifying sword light was constantly thrust out. It would not stab toward Yun Shi, but at Yun Kai and Lu Ming. Only the sound of the sword could be heard, but no one could see the person who attacked, or the sword that was used to assassinate. Moreover, the sword light was extremely fast, powerful, and accurate. They were completely passive. After a while, another sword wound appeared on Yun Feng's body. What a terrifying assassination technique. Lu Ming's eyebrows furrowed slightly. The other party's concealment technique was too powerful. He had completely concealed his body, and not even a trace of his aura could be sensed. They were completely passive, and could only be continuously assassinated without being able to counterattack. The opponent's cultivation should be at LV8 martial royal realm. Yun Shi said. What should we do? We can't go on like this. We're too passive. Yun Kai said. Let's go there. There's a canyon there. As long as we enter the canyon, it'll be advantageous to us. Yun Shi called out. The other party's movement technique was too fast. The terrain was open, and the other party could move freely. Their counterattacks couldn't hit the other party. If they entered the canyon, they would greatly limit the other party's movements. Boom! The long spear in Yun Zai's hand expanded and turned into 1,000-meter long spear radiance. It swept in all directions with the power to sweep away thousands of troops. But unfortunately, he still didn't hit the other party. Let's go! At this time, Yun Yin shouted and flew toward the canyon in front of her. Lu Ming and the other 3 followed Yun Shi and ran in that direction. However, before she could run halfway, a terrifying sword light stabbed toward Yun Zai's head. Yun Zai's pupil shrank, and she suddenly stopped. She swept her long spear up and blocked the sword with a clang. But at the same time, there was a sword radiance that was aimed at Yun Feng from behind. Yun Feng roared and slashed his sword backward. With a clang he blocked the attack. However, their expressions became even uglier. 2. There are 2 assassins from the 1,000-kill mansion. Yun Kai shouted, his face pale. One assassin was already very difficult to deal with, but now, there were 2 of them. Voila! At this moment, black wings spread open on Lu Ming's back. With a flap, Lu Ming soared into the sky and left Yun Shi and the others, flying into the distance. Damn it, this bastard is so afraid of death that he wants to escape alone. Yun Kai roared. Lu Ming's face was cold. Without saying a word, he flapped his black wings rapidly and flew forward at top speed. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared from the sight of Yun Shi, Yun Kai, and the others. He's a coward. If I knew this would happen, I wouldn't have brought him along. Yun Kai said. Yun Feng's and Yun Kai's expressions were also rather unsightly. There's one less assassin, One of them has been lured away by Lu Ming. At this moment Yinshi spoke. Indeed, the assassin at the back seemed to have disappeared. Only the assassin in front was still trying to kill them. Chapter 1590. 1590 Chapter 1591 Shot haha. That guy was too smart for his own good. He's really seeking his own death. Yin Kai laughs sarcastically. On the other side, Lu Ming suddenly stopped after flying for a distance. He turned around and looked behind him with a cold gaze. Buzz! Behind him, there was a slight fluctuation. A figure wrapped in a black robe appeared, holding a sword in his hand. It was a transparent sword as thin as a cicada's wing. As an assassin, you dare to show yourself? Lu Ming said in a calm voice. There's no need to hide when dealing with a mere 6th-level martial royal realm expert like you. The black-robed assassin said in a cold voice. Oh really? Don't you regret this? The corners of Lu Ming's lips curled into a smile. I'll kill you with one sword strike. A cold voice rang out. Then the other party moved. In a flash, he crossed hundreds of meters in the air and appeared in front of Lu Ming in an instant. The long sword as thin as a cicada's wing was aimed at Lu Ming. A holy weapon! The sword that was as thin as a cicada's wing was actually a holy weapon. The terrifying sword gleam was unbelievably fast as it pierced towards Lu Ming's throat. Boom! A dragon's roar was heard from within Lu Ming's body. Unknowingly, he had already put on the Luyuan gloves. His essential core surged into the Luyuan gloves madly, making them as heavy as a mountain. Lu Ming threw a punch, and the air was completely compressed together. It carried a terrifying force and blasted towards the other party. Buzz! The opponent's long sword trembled non-stop. It actually broke through Lu Ming's fist force and stabbed his fist. With a clang, a terrifying force burst out from Lu Ming's fist and gushed towards the other party with an earth-shattering force. The other party's expression changed drastically. The long sword that was as thin as a cicada's wing trembled non-stop. And the other party's figure was also sent flying by the terrifying power of this punch. Blood spurted out of the other party's mouth, wetting the black cloth around his mouth. The only eye that was exposed revealed was a look of shock. How can he be so powerful? The other party said in disbelief. His cultivation was at the middle LV8 martial royal realm, which was 2 levels higher than Lu Ming's. He also had a superior earth spiritual body, but he was injured by Lu Ming's punch in a head-on fight. You want to kill me with this little bit of power? Lu Ming said indifferently. So what if you're strong? I'm not good at strength, but assassination. Today, you're still going to die. The black-robed assassin's voice was cold. Then he moved and disappeared. It was as if he had disappeared into thin air. Lu Ming narrowed his eyes and scanned his surroundings. Whoosh! All of a sudden, a ray of sword light shot toward Lu Ming from behind. Boom! Lu Ming twisted his body and threw a punch backward. However, this punch hit nothing but air. A fist force flew out and created a huge pit on a mountain peak in the distance. Whoosh! Immediately, a sword light appeared on Lu Ming's left side and charged toward him. It was extremely fast and impossible to defend against. Lu Ming threw another punch. Unfortunately, when he did so, the sword light disappeared again, and Lu Ming landed in the air. Whoosh! Whoosh! Then, terrifying sword gleams rang out continuously. At the same time, 7 to 8 sword gleams shot toward Lu Ming from all directions. Get lost! The black dragon spear appeared in Lu Ming's hands, and he swept it across. The long spear swept in all directions, and all the sword hums disappeared. However, it still did not hit the other party. At the critical moment, the other party dodged Lu Ming's attack with a terrifying movement technique. Let's see how many of my moves you can dodge. When you lose your mind, you will die. A cold voice rang in the air. However, it did not come from a single direction. Instead, it kept changing. It was as if the direction would change with every word that was spoken. Lu Ming could not tell where the other party was. The other party's assassination technique was indeed very terrifying. Those who were targeted by him had to maintain a high level of concentration at all times, because if they were not careful, the other party would seize the opportunity and kill them in one blow. To maintain such a high level of concentration for a long time, one's mind would be exhausted. And in that case, it would be a dead end. Therefore, when Yun Shi, Yun Kai, and the others found out that they were assassins from the Thousand Kill Mansion, their faces turned ugly. The assassins of the Thousand Kill Mansion were synonymous with nightmares. Once they were targeted, they would have a slim chance of survival. Lu Ming held the long spear in his hand and stood still in the void. He spread out his spiritual sense, and an inexplicable smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Suddenly Lu Ming moved. The black dragon spear suddenly stabbed backward. He became one with the spear like a black lightning. This spear seemed to be piercing through the air. However, in the next moment a scream was heard. The black-robed assassin's figure was revealed, and Lu Ming's long spear had pierced through his dantian. The black-robed assassin's eyes widened in disbelief. He roared, "How is that possible? How did you discover me?" "I'm sorry, but my soul force is many times stronger than other warriors of the same level. You can hide your body and your aura, but it's hard to hide your soul fluctuations." Lu Ming smiled faintly. "So that's how it is. Haha, but if you kill me you'll also die." The black-robed assassin suddenly laughed crazily. As he laughed, he stopped breathing. The spear attack just now had already shattered the opponent's spiritual god. Lu Ming pulled out his long spear and reached out to grab the other party's storage ring. The black-robed assassin was too confident in his concealment technique. Therefore, when Lu Ming made his move, he was completely defenseless and was easily killed by Lu Ming with one shot. If the other party was on guard, it would not be easy for Lu Ming to kill him. The other party was also a top-notch Heaven's favorite, and his movement technique was extremely strange. Voila! With a flap of his black wings, Lu Ming flew in the direction of Yun Shi and the others. At this moment Yun Shi, Yun Kai, and the other two were hiding in a canyon, carefully defending themselves. "We must find an opportunity to severely injure this assassin. Otherwise, when the other assassin kills Lu Ming and returns, we'll be facing two assassins. Even if we're in this canyon, we'll be in danger," Yun Kai said. He felt that Lu Ming was dead for sure. Buzz! At this moment, the sound of something flying through the air could be heard from afar. Lu Ming was flying over. Yun Kai's eyes suddenly widened as he revealed a look of disbelief. "It's Lu Ming. He's not dead. He's being hunted down by an assassin from the House of 1,000 Kills. He's not dead. Given Lu Ming's cultivation base, he should be dead for sure if he were to face a terrifying killer from the 1,000 Kills mansion. I'm sorry to disappoint you." Lu Ming stood high in the sky and looked down at the clouds. "If I was just lucky," Yun Kai coldly snorted. "Who?" At this moment, Lu Ming suddenly swooped down and rushed into the canyon. However, just as they were about to reach the canyon, Lu Ming suddenly turned around and thrust his spear at a void. Wherever the long spear passed, the air would let out a terrifying whistling sound, and the space would ripple. In front of the long spear, the figure of a man in black was revealed. Chapter 1591. 1591 Chapter 1591 Slaughter. Mark the man in black's eyes were filled with disbelief. He did not expect that Lu Ming would be able to discover him. At the crucial moment, he used the long sword in his hand to block in front of him. Clang! The long spear stabbed into the opponent's long sword. The long sword bent into an arc and hit the black-clothed man's body. The black-clothed man's body trembled and was directly sent flying, creating a ravine that was a few hundred meters long on the ground. Buzz! Lu Ming's figure did not stop as he charged toward the man in black. "Lu Ming, wait a moment." At this moment Yun Shi exclaimed. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat, and he landed beside the man in black. He pointed his long spear and sealed the man's vital essence. "Why did you stop me?" Lu Ming's gaze turned to Yun Shi. At this moment, Yun Shi, Yun Kai, and the other two were all dumbfounded. To them, the assassins from the residence of 1,000 Kills were extremely difficult to deal with. However, Lu Ming had dealt with them easily. Lu Ming, once an assassin from the 1,000 Kills mansion is killed, a killing mark will be left on the person who killed them. It's almost impossible to erase it. Other assassins from the 1,000 Kills mansion will find the murderer based on this killing mark and we'll fight until the other party is killed. So, you can't kill this assassin from the Thousand Kills mansion. Yunxi took a deep breath to calm herself down and explained. I see. Lu Ming's eyes flickered and he said helplessly. It's a pity it's too late. Too late. Yunxi was stunned, and then her beautiful eyes widened. Could it be that you've already killed someone? That's right. I've already killed the assassin from the mansion of 1,000 kills, who was chasing me just now. So I don't mind killing one more person. With that, Lu Ming thrust his long spear forward and killed the assassin in black. With a wave of his hand, he took the other party's storage ring and sword. Yunxi, Yun Kai, and the others walked out of the canyon, their faces pale. Lu Ming, how did you discover the other party's hiding place? Yunxi asked. My soul force is relatively strong, so I can sense the other party's soul fluctuations. Lu Ming explained. He had nothing to hide. It was normal for some people to be gifted and have powerful souls. Lu Ming, you've killed 2 assassins from the House of 1,000 Kills. Please leave now. Yun Kai said coldly. Oh. Lu Ming looked at Yun Kai. You don't have to be so reluctant. You already have the killing mark of the 1,000 Kill mansion on you. The assassins of the 1,000 Kill mansion, in the 100 Clan battlefield, will keep looking for you. I don't want to be implicated by you. Yun Kai said coldly. Hee hee. Lu Ming chuckled, his laughter filled with contempt. If it had not been for Lu Ming's help, Yun Kai and the others would most likely have been killed by the 2 assassins from the House of 1,000 Kills. Now that the assassins from the House of 1,000 Kills had been killed by Lu Ming, Yun Kai wanted to ask Lu Ming to leave immediately, so that he would not be implicated. What a joke. What are you laughing at? You must leave today. Yun Kai said coldly. I will leave without you telling me. It's even more dangerous for me to stay with trash like you. Lu Ming said indifferently. What did you just say? You dared to call me a trash, a mere 6th level martial emperor. Yun Kai was furious, pointing at Lu Ming and berating him loudly. You're only at the 6th level of the martial emperor realm, but you killed 2 assassins from the mansion of 1,000 Kills. What were you doing just now? Lu Ming said disdainfully, causing Yun Kai's face to turn red. It's just that my soul force is a bit stronger. Yun Kai was stubborn. Lu Ming could not be bothered with Yun Kai. He looked at Yun Feng, Yun Kai, and Yun Shi and said, Is this also what you want? Yun Feng and Yun Kai looked embarrassed. They did not dare to meet Lu Ming's eyes, and turned their gazes in other directions. Their intentions were the same as Yun Kai's. If Lu Ming continued to stay with them, they would all die when the experts from the 1,000 Kills mansion arrived. Lu Ming, Yun Shi said. But she couldn't continue halfway, and a look of guilt appeared on her face. Logically, she wanted to keep Lu Ming. However, her rationality told her that if she kept Lu Ming, they would all die. The assassins of the 1,000 Kill mansion were too terrifying. Furthermore, the 100 Clan battlefield was simply the holy land of the 1,000 Kill mansion. Countless geniuses gathered there. Every year, the 1,000 Kill mansion would send a large number of geniuses into the 100 Clan battlefield to train their assassination skills. Therefore, many paragons in the 100 Clan battlefield were shocked when they heard about the 1,000 Kill mansion. Very few people targeted by the 1,000 Kills manor could survive. There's no need to say any more. I understand. Lu Ming will take his leave now. Lu Ming said coldly, and turned to leave. However, at this moment, Lu Ming's eyes flickered, and he looked in one direction. Buzz! And NBSB whoosh! There were 3 figures flying over from that direction. The man in the middle was wearing a purple gold robe. He was tall and handsome, and there was a purple sword-shaped mark between his eyebrows. His entire person was filled with a noble aura. Beside him, there were 2 other young men in purple robes. They also looked extraordinary. The 3 of them stopped above Lu Ming, and the rest, looking down at them from above. One of the young men's eyes fell on Yun Shi, and a hint of battle intent appeared in his eyes. LV9 Martial Royal Realm, the same level as me. Young master, how about I go and practice? Sure, go. The noble young man in the middle nodded. Buzz! The young man stepped forward, and the aura of a LV9 Martial Royal Realm expert emanated from his body. He pressed down on Yun Shi and said, Fight me. This was the 100-clan battlefield. There was no reason to attack. There were no rules here. All of the young Heaven's favorites came here for two reasons. First, to train themselves. Second, to find opportunities. Only through great battles and killing could one temper themselves. In this place, it was very normal for people to attack without any reason when they encountered people of similar cultivation. On the other hand, those with high cultivation would usually not attack those with low cultivation, because there was no value in tempering them, unless the other party had a treasure on him. He could either challenge someone stronger, or someone at the same level as him, and break through in a life-or-death situation. A battle it shall be. Yunxi held the long spear in her hand and stepped into the air, standing opposite the purple-robed youth. Kill! Without saying anything else, the young man in purple attacked. A light spot lit up between his eyebrows, and then a combat sword flew out. He held it in his hand and slashed it at Yun Xiao. Whoosh! Yunxi thrust her spear forward like a silver bolt of lightning. Clang! The long spear and the combat sword collided, and the sword chi and spear light scattered in all directions. The two of them trembled slightly and took a few steps back at the same time. Without a doubt, the other party was also a Heaven's favorite with a superior Earth spiritual body, and his combat strength was amazing. You have some strength, but this is far from enough. The young man in purple shouted. A light spot also lit up on his arm. From the light spot, a battle axe flew out and floated above his head. The battle axe seemed to be connected to the battle sword in his hand, making the power of the battle sword in his hand stronger. 10,000 Soldier Scroll. You're from the Wan family. Yun Zai's expression changed drastically, and she cried out in alarm. Chapter 1592? 1592 Chapter 1592. 10,000 Soldier Domain. You have good eyes. Let's see how many of my weapons you can take. The young man in purple stepped forward and slashed out with his sword. The sword light cut through the void, and its power was much stronger than the previous one. Flying Cloud Spear Art, die. Yin shouted. Her long spear was like a dragon as it shot out beams of dazzling spear light toward the young man in purple. Clang, clang, clang. The two of them collided continuously, but they were still evenly matched. However, what was shocking was that there were bright spots shining on the young man's body. From each bright spot, a weapon flew out. These weapons floated around the young man's body. These weapons seemed to be connected with each other. All the chi of combat weapons gathered on the combat sword in the young man's hand, making the power of his combat sword more and more terrifying. The weapon in the purple shirt young man's hand was only an emperor spiritual weapon, but it could borrow the chi of other spiritual weapons and merge them together. Its power was even stronger than Yun Zai's saint weapon. Kill! The more the young man fought, the more courageous he became. He held a sword in his right hand and grabbed a battle axe with his left hand. He attacked Yun Xiao from both sides. Yunxi was slowly being suppressed. What a marvelous domain! What a marvelous combat technique! Lu Ming's eyes were filled with amazement. His opponent's domain allowed him to use different weapons at the same time. When he used a sword, it could transform into a sword domain. When he used an axe, it could transform into an axe domain. It seemed to be the same as his chaos domain. However, it was impossible for the other party to cultivate the chaos domain. 10,000 Soldier Domain. An extremely rare domain appeared in Lu Ming's mind. It was the 10,000 Soldier Domain. It was said that one could control all the weapons in the world by cultivating the 10,000 Soldier realm. No matter what weapon one used, it would be transformed into a corresponding weapon realm. Of course, it was only limited to weapons. It could not be transformed into a domain of fire, a domain of water and the like. Those were the specialties of the chaos domain. But it was still very shocking. Out! In the end, the young man in purple shouted. Bright spots lit up on his body again, and weapons flew out. There were 18 different weapons floating around the young man in purple. All of them were King's spiritual weapons. The combat weapon chi of the 18 King's spiritual weapons was extremely powerful. Clang! Yunxi was sent flying by the sword. She spat out a mouthful of blood, and her face turned pale. Yun Xiao had lost. He was no match for her in a battle of the same level. Looking at your cultivation technique, you must be from the Cloud Emperor Mountain. Hehe, the Cloud Emperor Mountain is nothing more than this. The young man in purple sneered, and didn't continue to attack. He returned to the noble young man's side, and the 18 different emperor spiritual weapons flew into his body and disappeared. Yun Zai's expression was a little ugly, but the 10,000 soldiers scroll cultivated by the Wan family was really powerful. There are so many geniuses here. Are these all geniuses from emperor-ranked powers? Lu Ming had a thought in his mind. He had only been in the 100-clan battlefield for a short time. Before, he had met the geniuses of the 1,000 Kills Prefecture, and now, he had met the people of the Wan family. They were all geniuses with superior earth spiritual bodies, and their cultivation methods and combat skills were all stronger than the last. If these geniuses were placed in Sangzhou, they would all have the chance to compete for the top 10 geniuses. This made his blood boil. Only in such an environment would he be able to improve faster. At this time, the noble young man in the middle looked at the body of the assassin from the 1,000-kill mansion. His eyes flickered and he said in surprise, "Were you the ones who killed the assassins of the 1,000-kill mansion?" Although he used the word you, his eyes were on Yun Shi. In his opinion, only Yun Zai's strength was worth mentioning. The others were not worth mentioning. Among them, there was actually a 6th-level martial emperor. He really didn't know what was good for him. "I didn't kill him." Yun Shi shook her head. "Not you." The honorable young man was slightly stunned. "It's him, he killed her." At this moment, Yun Kai pointed at Lu Ming and shouted. The distinguished young man was stunned. He turned to look at Lu Ming and asked in surprise, "It's you? How could a mere LV6 martial emperor kill an assassin of the 1,000-kill mansion?" Interesting. It's indeed interesting that a LV6 martial royal realm expert can kill an assassin of the 1,000 kills mansion. "Young master, let me test him and see what he's capable of," another young man in purple said. "N." The young man nodded. The young man in purple stepped forward, and a powerful aura burst out. Peak LV8 martial royal realm. This young man in purple was slightly weaker than the one who had fought with Yun Shi. "Kid, come up and fight me. I want to see what kind of special ability you have." The young man in purple looked at Lu Ming. Lu Ming stepped into the air, his body exuding a powerful fighting spirit. He wanted to see how powerful the secret skill of the Wan family was. "Kid, you go first. Use your full strength at the end. Otherwise, you won't have a chance," the young man in purple said indifferently, revealing a look of contempt. He did not care about a 6th-level martial emperor at all. He was just curious about how Lu Ming could kill the assassins of the 1,000 Kills mansion. Otherwise, with his cultivation, he would not have challenged a 6th-level martial emperor at all, because it would not be effective for him to train. Boom! Lu Ming could not be bothered to waste his breath. Since the other party had asked him to make the first move, he made his move immediately. He used the prison-suppressing heaven technique, and threw a punch at the youth in purple. The air trembled, and the terrifying fist force pressed down on the air, forming a terrifying air wave that surged toward the other party. The young man in purple's expression changed. The power of Lu Ming's punch had completely exceeded his imagination. A light spot appeared between his eyebrows, and a huge axe flew out. He swung the axe at Lu Ming. Clang! The fist and the axe collided. The young man in purple trembled, and took a few steps back. "So this is all you've got?" Lu Ming said indifferently. "You're looking for death." The young man in purple roared and 6 spots on his body lit up. 6 spirit weapons of different colors appeared. In addition to the battle axe from before, there were a total of 7 spirit weapons, all of which were emperor-level spirit weapons. The 7 emperor spiritual weapons floated around the young man in purple. The chi of the weapons merged with each other and gathered on the battle axe. "Kill!" The young man in purple bellowed and swung his battle axe at Lu Ming. The power of the axe was much stronger than before. The flowing essence gloves covered his palm. Quintessential essence surged into them crazily, making them as heavy as mountains. Boom! Once again, Lu Ming threw a punch. This time, the other party retreated again, and was suppressed by Lu Ming. Although the other party's cultivation was 2 levels higher than Lu Ming's, and the combat techniques that he cultivated were very powerful. His spirit body was still a superior grade spirit body. Back in the treasure auction, Lu Ming could defeat or even kill such a prodigy. Now that Lu Ming had used his saint weapon, he could easily suppress his opponent. Kill! The young man in purple roared madly. He couldn't accept the fact that he had been suppressed after 2 moves. Before he made his move, he had been acting all high and mighty, as if he could easily crush Lu Ming. However, now that he was being suppressed by Lu Ming, he felt that he had lost all his face. He was filled with a terrifying killing intent towards Lu Ming. Chapter 1593. 1593. Leaving alone, more light spots lit up in his body. This time, there were 10 light spots and 10 king spiritual weapons. The 17 emperor spiritual weapons floated in the air, and the battle weapon chi was extremely dense. It gathered on the battle axe, making the purple shirt young man's momentum extremely strong. Kill! 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 The young man in purple shouted, his eyes filled with cold killing intent. He wanted to kill Lu Ming to save his face. He took a step forward, and his spirit weapons circled around him. He swung his giant axe as if he could split the sky. You want to kill me? A sharp glint flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. More essential core surged into the flowing essence gloves. The flowing essence gloves glowed like a small sun. Boom! A single punch could crush everything. Thump! 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 Lu Ming and the other party exchanged 3 moves in a row. After each move, the other party had to take 3 steps back. After 3 moves, the other party retreated 9 steps. Kill! Then, Lu Ming shouted, and the power of the divine sword technique exploded. Lu Ming's eyes lit up and 2 black swords shot out of his eyes, and into the body of the young man in purple. The other party's body trembled, and his eyes lost focus for a moment. Boom! At this moment, Lu Ming threw another punch. This punch was as destructive as crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood. At the critical moment, although the other party used his battle axe to block, the strength he could muster was limited. Lu Ming's punch sent his battle axe flying. He retreated rapidly and spat out large mouthfuls of blood. Buzz! Lu Ming strode forward, wanting to defeat his opponent in one fell swoop. Enough! The noble youth frowned and stepped forward with a cold light in his eyes. Boom! This step seemed to shake the earth and the sky. A terrifying force rushed towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming's expression changed and he threw a punch, but it was useless. It could not break through the force. When the force surged over, Lu Ming's body slid back for thousands of meters. What's wrong? A tag team battle? If one doesn't work, then 2? Lu Ming sneered. A tag team battle? Hee hee, what a joke. The noble young man stood in the void with his hands behind his back. A terrifying pressure emanated from his body and pressed toward Lu Ming like a divine weapon that was about to break the sky and cut the world. Lu Ming covered his entire body with the chaos domain and resisted the pressure with all his might. Your combat strength is not bad, but you're only at the 6th level of the martial royal realm. You're not worthy to fight me, the distinguished young man said indifferently. His tone was filled with confidence and contempt for Lu Ming. Lu Ming was not worthy to fight with him. The honorable young man then looked at the young man who was injured by Lu Ming and said, in the future, cultivate well and strive to break through. The next time you see this person, you will kill him with your own hands. Understand? Understood, young master. The young man in purple bowed in response, his eyes filled with cold killing intent as he looked at Lu Ming. Let's go. The noble young man retracted his aura and left. Yes, as he had said, Lu Ming's cultivation level was too low, and he was not worthy of fighting with him. He was not even interested in fighting. In the blink of an eye, the noble young man and the 2 young men in purple disappeared from everyone's sight. At that moment, Yun Kai, Yin Feng, and the others looked at Lu Ming with fear in their eyes. Lu Ming could actually defeat the 8th level martial royal realm genius of the Wan family. His combat strength had exceeded their expectations. For example, Yun Kai, whose cultivation was at the peak of the 8th level martial royal realm, believed that he would not be able to defeat the geniuses of the Wan family, who were at the same level as him. However, Lu Ming was able to defeat him, which meant that Lu Ming's combat strength was above his. Yin Shi looked at Lu Ming with a complicated gaze. In a battle of the same level, he was no match for the Wan family's geniuses, but Lu Ming could cross 2 levels and defeat the Wan family's geniuses. His combat strength was truly unbelievable. Farewell. At this moment, Lu Ming looked at Yin Shi and cupped his fists slightly, planning to leave alone. It was more convenient for him to act alone. Lu Ming. The 1,000-kill mansion was created by the 1,000-kill martial emperor. It's extremely powerful and has many experts. There'll definitely be a lot of people from the 1,000-kill mansion in the 100-clan battlefield. You have to be careful. In the end, Yin Shi could not bear it and reminded Lu Ming. Many thanks, I will be careful. Lu Ming said. Lu Ming. There are cities built by the locals in the 100-clan battlefield. If you enter the city, the people from the 1,000-kill mansion will be more or less apprehensive and won't dare to go too far. Yin Shi reminded him. Lu Ming nodded. Not all of the 100-clan battlefield was filled with outsiders like them. There were some natives. In reality, the natives weren't pure natives. They were all people who had entered the 100-clan battlefield in the distant past. Some of them had stayed there forever and had never left. They had taken root in the 100-clan battlefield and reproduced. As time passed, more and more people arrived at the 100-clan battlefield. These people were called the natives. Moreover, the natives had grown up in the 100-clan battlefield. They were used to the chaotic laws in the world and could adapt to them. Therefore, some of the talented natives could break through to the Saint Realm in the 100-clan battlefield without dying or going crazy because of the chaotic laws. However, the 100-clan battlefield was very restrictive. That was why the strongest of the natives could only reach the Bright Saint Realm. It was almost impossible for them to reach the Supreme Saint Realm. These native saints would build cities and forces in the 100-clan battlefield. In these cities, it was forbidden to fight and kill. Therefore, if they violated this rule, the saints of the local people might kill them. Therefore, although there were no rules in the 100-clan battlefield, there were still some rules in the cities. Of course, things weren't absolute. If one was strong enough, they could kill someone in the city and then escape quickly. Even the saints couldn't do anything. However, at least it was much safer than outside the city. That was why Yin Shi suggested that Lu Ming go to the city. Lu Ming did not say much. He turned and stepped into the air, disappearing from the place in the blink of an eye. Humph, with the mark of slaughter on his body. He will never be able to get to the nearest city. He will definitely be found and killed by the 1,000 Kills Prefecture. Yin Kai sneered. Yin Shi glanced at Yin Kai with some disgust, then turned around and left. And MBSB hoo-hoo. Lu Ming controlled the black wings and flew forward at an extremely fast speed. Soon, they had flown tens of thousands of miles. The 100-clan battlefield has gathered many sovereign-level forces prodigies. Almost all of them have superior Great Earth spiritual bodies. In the depths of the 100-clan battlefield, there are even prodigies who have heaven spiritual bodies. There are too many prodigies. My cultivation is too weak. I must break through as soon as possible. Lu Ming had many thoughts in his mind. Lu Ming's weakness had always been his cultivation level. He came from a remote island, and the cultivation environment in the past was not good. Compared to the geniuses of the Yuanlu continent, his cultivation level was much weaker. He had comprehended the primal chaos domain. He was not afraid of anyone at the same level. It's time to find a place to break through. Lu Ming swept his gaze around. After flying for another tens of thousands of miles, Lu Ming flew towards a mountain. Then the chaos domain transformed into the earth domain. Lu Ming rushed into the mountain directly, as if he was using an underground escape technique. However, there was no change on the surface of the mountain. After entering the center of the mountain, Lu Ming opened up a simple cave abode in the middle of the mountain and entered the mountain and river diagram. Chapter 1594. 1594 7th Level Martial Emperor Realm. After entering the mountain and river diagram, Lu Ming sat cross-legged under the Path Understanding Ancient Tree. Up until now, Lu Ming had watered the Path Understanding Ancient Tree with a large amount of spiritual liquid. The tree was growing very well. It was now 2 meters tall, and the trunk was as thick as an arm. The branches and leaves were luxuriant, and wisps of heavenly aura lingered between the branches and leaves. Cultivators sat cross-legged under the path understanding ancient tree. Their hearts were calm, their minds were empty, and their thoughts were active. The speed of their comprehension could be increased by many times. Following that, Lu Ming took out a heavenly Tao stone. The heavenly Tao aura that the heavenly Tao stone emitted increased the speed at which Lu Ming comprehended the chaos domain. Lu Ming closed his eyes and started to comprehend quietly. Previously, Lu Ming traveled the world for a whole year and integrated with nature. That year, although Lu Ming's cultivation had progressed very slowly, his chaos domain had already reached the limit of level 6. He could break through at any time. Moreover, Lu Ming was more in tune with nature, so he could comprehend it faster. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. The chaos domain on Lu Ming's body suddenly trembled and became more robust and condensed. His chaos domain had broken through and reached level 7. A 7th level territory was already considered a territory that a high-level martial emperor could master. However, Lu Ming did not stop. His previous accumulation was too strong. It was like a flood that had been released after the floodgates were opened. The chaos realm was improving rapidly. As for the heavenly Tao stones, Lu Ming took them out one after another. After another 2 days, Lu Ming's chaos domain had reached the peak of level 7. With this breakthrough, the chaos domain had been upgraded by an entire level. The speed was astonishing. Of course, this was due to Lu Ming's accumulation for the past year. Now that he had accumulated for a year, the speed of his progress was shocking. Later on, after the outburst, the cultivation speed would return to normal. After the breakthrough in the chaos domain, it was time to break through in cultivation. Lu Ming took out a large number of medium-grade raw gemstones and burst out with devouring power to devour and refine them. In the blink of an eye, another 3 days passed. Lu Ming's cultivation level increased rapidly until it reached the peak of the 7th level martial emperor realm, which was the same level as the chaos domain. At the 7th level of the martial emperor realm, Lu Ming had officially stepped into the ranks of the high-level martial emperor realm. His combat strength had increased greatly. The improvement in Lu Ming's cultivation level brought about an all-round improvement in his combat strength. His true essence would skyrocket, his spirit body would be condensed and become stronger, and his soul power would also become stronger as his cultivation level increased. Because it was too difficult to level up the chaotic domain, its power would increase with each level up. At the same time, the increase in cultivation would allow the Saint weapon to be more powerful. Therefore, Lu Ming's cultivation level had increased by 1 level, and his combat strength had increased by a lot. Now, if Lu Ming were to fight Yun Kai, a genius at the peak of the 8th level martial royal realm, he was confident that he would be able to kill him in seconds. It's time to go out and find experts to fight. Only then can I break through faster. If I keep going into seclusion, I'll lose the point of coming to the 100-clan battlefield. Lu Ming pondered. Then he exited the mountain and river diagram and transformed the chaos realm into the earth realm. He rushed out of the mountains and flew toward the depths of the 100-clan battlefield. Buzz! 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 Lu Ming had not flown far when he saw a few figures cutting through the void and flying in one direction. Someone cast an indifferent glance at Lu Ming from afar and ignored him. They're all experts. They're all LV9 Martial Royal Realm experts. Lu Ming muttered, and then continued to move forward. However, Lu Ming encountered several groups of people in succession, and they were all flying in the same direction. Isn't it too much of a coincidence for so many people to go in the same direction? Or is there something in that direction that is attracting these people? Lu Ming pondered in his heart. Buzz! 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 At this moment, Lu Ming saw 3 more figures flying in that direction. Let's go and take a look. Lu Ming immediately concealed his aura and landed on the ground below. He used the trees to cover the mountain and followed the group from a distance. An hour later, they arrived at a vast mountain range. The 3 figures suddenly stopped and nodded to each other. They descended and disappeared. Lu Ming's figure soared into the sky and appeared in the sky above, where the few people had been standing earlier. He looked down. Below him was a large piece of rock, but there was a crack in the rock. It was very hidden, and if one didn't look closely, they wouldn't be able to see it clearly. At this moment, those figures had already disappeared. Could it be that those few people had entered this crack? With a single thought, black wings appeared on Lu Ming's back. Then, the chaos domain covered his entire body, and he descended toward the crack. The crack kept going down, and it was pitch black. However, as Lu Ming continued to descend, the crack grew bigger and wider. There's a world inside this crack. Lu Ming stood high in the sky and looked down. Below him was a boundless land. With the help of the dim light, he could barely see the mountains and rivers. Lu Ming landed on a mountain peak casually and looked around. What came into view were mountains, but there was no vegetation, only black rocks and soil. Could it be that those people he saw before are all here? Lu Ming pondered in his heart. The 100-clan battlefield took place during the ancient times. Countless experts participated in the battle, and countless experts died in battle, forming many strange places. Those strange places often contain great opportunities, but they were also accompanied by risks. Kill. All of a sudden, a strong gust of wind came from behind Lu Ming and attacked him. Lu Ming did not hesitate. He dodged the attack and turned around to look. What is this? What a heavy demonic chi. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed slightly. The one who attacked him was a tall and burly monster with black bone spikes all over its body. It was in the form of an adult and held a battle axe in its hand. Its body was filled with thick demonic chi. Kill. The monster spoke in the human language. It roared and pounced at Lu Ming again. LV6 Martial Emperor Realm Die. Lu Ming threw a punch, and the power of the prison-suppressing heavenly art was unleashed. Bang! This monster, which was equivalent to a 6th-level Martial Emperor, was directly hit by Lu Ming's punch, and its body exploded. However, the monster was not made of flesh and blood. After its body exploded, it turned into a cloud of demonic chi, rolling in the air, and then condensing into the monster again. It roared and charged at Lu Ming. If it's completely condensed from demonic chi, then it'll obliterate your demonic chi. Lu Ming immediately activated his chaos domain and blasted it out. The monster's body was once again shattered and turned into billowing demonic chi. However, in the next moment, the demonic chi condensed again and turned into a monster. Its aura was only slightly weakened. What kind of monster is this? Even the Chaos Realm can only obliterate it a little. It can't be killed. Lu Ming revealed a look of surprise. Following that, Lu Ming attacked a few times in a row. Each time, the monster would explode. However, every time, the monster would turn into demonic chi and then condense again. It seemed to be completely immortal. Chapter 1595. 1595 Chapter 1595 Demonic Evil Crystal. This monster was even more difficult to deal with than those martial artists who cultivated natural spirit bodies. Warriors who cultivated natural type spirit bodies would turn their bodies into natural elements when they were attacked to reduce the damage. However, as long as they were strong enough, they could still destroy the opponent's spirit body. However, this monster seemed to be impossible to destroy with pure strength. Even the Chaos Realm had little effect on him. No, this monster has a core. It's in between the eyebrows. Suddenly, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. When he scattered the monster again, he found that there was a black crystal in between the monster's eyebrows. It was surrounded by demonic chi, and he had not noticed it before. Moreover, the scattered demonic chi had gathered there to reform the monster's body. Lu Ming took a step forward and clawed at the monster's glabella like a dragon's claw. He grabbed a piece of crystal. Then Lu Ming retreated and took out the crystal. Lu Ming took a look and saw a black crystal in his hand. There was a layer of black demonic fire on the crystal. There's a trace of intelligence on the crystal. Interesting. Destroy it, Lu Ming muttered. He poured his essential core into the crystal, and the demonic fire on the crystal was immediately extinguished. Bang! When the demonic fire on the crystal was extinguished, The monster's body exploded and turned into demonic chi, dissipating in the air. It was impossible for it to reform. This crystal was the core. Could it be the legendary demonic fiend crystal? Lu Ming's eyes lit up as he sized up the crystal in his hand. The demonic evil crystal was a very precious treasure. It could only be found in places with extremely rich demonic chi. The greatest function of the demonic fiend crystal was to temper the soul. Through the refinement of the demonic fiend crystals, the soul force of a warrior would continuously increase. This place actually has demonic evil crystals. Lu Ming's eyes were getting brighter and brighter. Lu Ming had cultivated the divine sword technique. The demonic evil crystals were of great use to him. Lu Ming's soul force was dozens of times stronger than other martial artists of the same level, due to the world refinement tribulation bell. In addition, cultivating the godly sword technique would also improve his soul force. Lu Ming's current soul force was stronger than a peak 9th level martial royal realm martial artist. It was even close to the soul force of a half-saint. With such powerful soul power, the divine sword technique could directly tear apart the soul of a martial artist of the same level, and make the other party's soul dissipate. Even a martial artist at the peak LV9 martial royal realm would be greatly affected, and his combat strength would be greatly reduced. Even half-saints could be affected by Lu Ming's soul attack, and their combat strength would be reduced. If Lu Ming's soul force continued to improve until it reached the level of a half-saint or even stronger, he might be able to tear a half-saint's soul apart when he used the divine sword technique. It would be a great boost to Lu Ming's combat strength. It was said that the more powerful a warrior was, the more emphasis they placed on their soul. It was said that when one's cultivation reached a certain realm, the soul was extremely important to a martial artist. Hence, the value of demonic fiend crystals was shockingly high in the market. Are there still demonic evil crystals in this place? After Lu Ming put away the demonic fiend crystals, he dashed down the mountain peak and landed on a land with strange rocks. Roar! Lu Ming had just landed when a loud roar was heard. A huge tiger pounced at Lu Ming. The giant tiger was pitch black and was emitting demonic chi. It was also at the LV6 martial royal realm. Boom! Lu Ming threw a punch, and the giant tiger exploded. Just like the human-shaped demonic creature, demonic chi rolled, and the giant tiger's body reappeared. As expected, with a quick glance just now, Lu Ming had indeed seen a crystal between the giant tiger's eyebrows. Kill! Lu Ming took a step forward and clawed through the space between the tiger's eyebrows. He took out a piece of crystal. Demonic fiend crystal. It really was a demonic fiend crystal. There was also a layer of demonic fire on it, but it was destroyed by Lu Ming. The giant tiger turned into demonic chi and dissipated. Haha, this is really a treasure land. Lu Ming was overjoyed. His figure flickered, and he began to search for the demonic creature. After traveling for a few miles, another demonic creature appeared. It was a giant wolf, also at the 6th level of the martial royal realm. Lu Ming grabbed the demonic evil crystal between its eyebrows and continued to move forward. Roar! Roar! He did not see any demonic creatures for more than 10 miles. However, after that he heard loud roars. A total of 6 demonic creatures pounced at Lu Ming. One of them was at the LV8 martial royal realm. 2 were at the LV7, and the other 3 were at the LV6. The 6 demons attacked at the same time, and their power was astonishing. Lu Ming cast the wind element technique, and his body flashed. He killed a 6th level martial royal realm demonic creature in one move, and took out the demonic evil crystal. At the same time, he flapped his black wings, and scattered the rest of them into demonic chi. However, the next moment, they immediately condensed again. Lu Ming continued to attack. He grabbed the demonic evil crystals of the other 2 LV6 martial royal realm demonic creatures, and kept them in the mountain and river diagram. Then, it pounced on a 7th level martial royal realm demonic creature and clawed at it. The demonic creature roared and twisted its head to avoid Lu Ming's attack. Lu Ming's claw landed on its body, causing it to explode. However, it immediately reappeared. You're quite smart. Lu Ming mumbled and continued to grab the other 2 demons. The 2 demonic creatures were very smart. They protected their heads well, and did not let Lu Ming catch them. As for their bodies, they allowed Lu Ming to attack them as he pleased. This kind of demonic creature was even more difficult to deal with than warriors of the same level. They only needed to protect their heads and attack the other parts of their bodies crazily. If not for Lu Ming's powerful combat strength, they would have been in trouble. 9 seals of the Divine Gate. Let's see how you can dodge. Lu Ming formed a seal with both hands, and 7 sealing doors appeared in the sky. Now Lu Ming could already condense 7 sealing gates. The 7 sealing gates emitted a brilliant light and instantly locked the 3 demons in place. Lu Ming's figure flashed, and he instantly grabbed the demonic fiend crystals of the 3 demons. Then he used his essential core to erase the spirituality on them. The 6 demons turned into demonic chi and disappeared. The higher the cultivation of the demonic creature, the better the quality of the demonic evil crystal. Lu Ming sized up the demonic evil crystal at the 7th level of the Martial Emperor realm and the 8th level of the Martial Emperor realm in his hands. He realized that the quality was indeed better than the demonic evil crystal of the 6th level Martial Emperor realm demonic creature. After Lu Ming kept it, he continued to move forward. There seemed to be a large number of demonic creatures in this place. As Lu Ming moved forward, he kept running into demonic creatures. He even encountered demonic creatures of the highest level, which were equivalent to the 9th level of the Martial Royal Realm. The higher the level, the more powerful they were, and the harder it was to get demonic evil crystals. However, Lu Ming had the 9 seals of the Divine Gate, a secret skill that could seal the other party's movements. It was much more convenient. In the end, Lu Ming even called Bubbles out to help. With the space-time domain of the bubbles, it was even easier to seal these demons. Lu Ming was like a harvester, harvesting the demonic evil crystals. Half a day later, Lu Ming had already obtained more than 100 demonic fiend crystals. There were people from the 6th level to the 9th level of the Martial Royal Realm. Chapter 1596. 1596. You believe that? In a cave, a pagoda was suspended above Lu Ming's head. A space-time domain spread out from the pagoda. A transparent bubble suddenly formed and trapped a 9th level Martial Emperor demonic creature. Lu Ming grabbed the demonic evil crystal from the demonic creature. It's so convenient with Bubbles' help. Lu Ming's face was full of smiles. Bubbles was hiding in that pagoda. As Lu Ming's cultivation level grew higher, the people he came into contact with also became more powerful. Many people would be able to recognize Bubbles at a glance. An infant space-time spirit mouse was priceless, and its temptation was terrifying. Lu Ming would be in danger if some powerful beings were interested in it. Therefore, when Lu Ming wanted Bubbles to come out and help, he would let Bubbles enter the pagoda. This way, many people would think that this pagoda only had the effects of the time and space domain. A pagoda with a time domain was precious, but it had some functions. Because it couldn't be upgraded, some powerful existences didn't want it. However, if it was a space-time spirit mouse, it would be completely different. If it was raised, it would be able to defy the heavens in the future. This was a true top 10 war beast. Lu Ming naturally had to be more careful. After getting the demonic fiend crystal, Lu Ming left the cave and continued to move forward. This area was very vast. Until now, Lu Ming had not met anyone else. Not long after, Lu Ming obtained dozens of demonic evil crystals. Roar! 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 At this moment, Lu Ming heard a series of roars coming from the front. They were all the roars of demons. Judging from the sounds, there were many of them. Let's go! Lu Ming's eyes lit up, and he rushed toward the source of the sound. After bypassing 2 mountains, Lu Ming saw a large group of demons besieging 4 young men. It's them! What a coincidence! Lu Ming narrowed his eyes slightly. The 4 young men were actually Yun Shi, Yun Kai, and the others. They must have seen the others coming over, so they followed them. There were at least 100 demonic creatures besieging Yun Shi, and the other 3. With Yun Zai's combat strength, it was easy for her to fight above her level, so she was not afraid of these demonic creatures. However, it was not easy to get the demonic evil crystals with so many demonic creatures. Damn it, these demonic creatures are too cunning. They always avoid the heads, so we can't get the demonic evil crystals at all. Yunkai cursed. If there were only a few demonic creatures, they could have besieged them to get the demonic evil crystals. However, there were too many demonic creatures on the scene. Moreover, you can't directly break the head of the demonic creature. If you do that, the demonic evil crystals inside will also be broken, which will be a waste. Yun Shi and the other three kept attacking, and the demonic creatures' bodies were destroyed one after another. However, as soon as these demonic creatures were destroyed, other demonic creatures rushed over and attacked Yun Shi and the others, making them unable to pursue and seize the demonic evil crystals. After fighting for a while, they didn't even get a single demonic fiend crystal. At this moment, Lu Ming took a step forward and walked out. "It's you, Lu Ming?" When Lu Ming walked out, Yin Shi, Yun Kai, and the others were very surprised. "Lu Ming, you're still alive. You're lucky that no one from the 1,000-kill mansion has come to find you." Yun Kai sneered. Lu Ming cast an indifferent glance at Yun Kai. He simply ignored such people. Roar! Roar! As soon as Lu Ming appeared, the group of demons changed their direction and charged at him. Almost all of them were at the 6th or 7th level of the martial royal realm. The 9 seals of the Gate of God. Lu Ming conjured a series of hand seals and 7 sealing gates appeared, sealing the 7 demonic creatures. Then in a flash, 7 demonic fiend crystals appeared in Lu Ming's hands. "It's that easy?" Yin Shi, Yun Kai, and the others were dumbfounded. Yun Kai, in particular, revealed a look of jealousy. Roar! Roar! More demons charged at Lu Ming. Lu Ming condensed the sealing door again. This time bubbles assisted him. A large number of demons were fixed in place and could not move. Lu Ming looked as if he was taking a stroll in the courtyard, as if he was picking fruits from his backyard. He reached out with his claws and took out demonic evil crystals one after another. The demonic creatures turned into demonic chi and dissipated. Then, Lu Ming rushed to the demons that were besieging Yun Shi and the others. He used the same old plan again. Not long after, more than 100 demons turned into demonic chi and dissipated. The demonic evil crystals all entered Lu Ming's mountain and river diagram. This, Yun Shi and the others were stunned. Detestable. Yun Kai's eyes were filled with flames of jealousy. It was not easy for them to obtain a single demonic fiend crystal, but Lu Ming had easily obtained more than 100 of them. His speed was many times faster than theirs. Lu Ming were the ones who lured these demonic creatures here. "It's too unkind of you to attack them halfway. Aren't you going to give us some demonic fiend crystals?" Yun Kai's eyes turned and he sneered. "You lured him here? What a joke. This area is full of demonic creatures. How could you say that you attracted them here? I even saved you. But you don't even thank me for saving you. And you want me to share the demonic evil crystals with you? You are really thick-skinned." Lu Ming sneered. "Humph." Yun Kai snorted coldly, his expression somewhat unsightly. Then his eyes flickered, and he revealed a fake smile. "Lu Ming, you came in from the Cloud Emperor Mountain and are part of our team. How about you return to the team now? We'll get the crystals together, and then split them equally, how about it?" Lu Ming sneered, and looked at Yun Kai as if he was an idiot. This Yun Kai was not only thick-skinned, he was also shameless. Previously, he was afraid of being hunted down by the 1,000 Kills house, and chased Lu Ming away. Now, after seeing Lu Ming's amazing efficiency in snatching the demonic evil crystals, he wanted Lu Ming to return to the team. He even proposed to split the demonic evil crystals equally. How ridiculous was that? A mocking smile hung on the corner of Lu Ming's lips. "Sure. But after we get out of this place, we'll still be a team, and we'll have to explore together. How about it?" This, Yun Kai immediately stiffened. What a joke. After they left this place, Lu Ming would continue to stay with them. If the assassins from the 1,000-kill mansion came, they would have to die with Lu Ming. How could that be? Yun Kai's eyes turned again. Alright, sure. Although he said that, he was thinking that he should calm Lu Ming down first. After he obtained a large number of demonic fiend crystals, and left this place, he would kick Lu Ming away. Haha, I was just joking with you. You actually believe that? Lu Ming laughed out loud, his mocking intent growing stronger. Lu Ming, you. Yin Kai was furious. He knew that he had been fooled by Lu Ming. Lu Ming had no intention of returning to the team. Roar! Roar! At this time, roars came from a nearby valley. The ground was shaking as a group of demonic creatures charged over. There are so many demonic creatures here. Lu Ming took a step forward, and a sealing gate was formed, locking the 7 demons in place. The next moment, Lu Ming had 7 more demonic breakstones. Chapter 1597. 1597 Chapter 1597 Thunderous Methods. Lu Ming cooperated with the bubbles and harvested the demonic fiend crystals from the demonic creatures wantonly. Yin Kai's eyes turned red with jealousy. He roared in anger and wanted to get the demonic fiend crystals as well. However, after fighting with the demonic creature for a long time, he only managed to get one. On the other hand, Lu Ming had nearly 100 demonic fiend crystals in his account. There were more than 100 monsters running out of the canyon, but only a dozen were left. At this moment, a few young men flew over from the sky. As soon as the few young men arrived, their eyes were immediately attracted to Lu Ming. At that moment, Lu Ming was casting the 9 seals of the Gate of God. 7 gates of sealing sealed 7 demons and seized 7 demonic fiend crystals. What a powerful sealing technique. One of the young men's eyes lit up. At this moment, Lu Ming also noticed that the few youths in the sky had cast the Gate of Seal again to seal the remaining demons and seized the demonic fiend crystals. Then he moved his body and was about to leave the place. However, in the sky, the few young men's figures flashed and surrounded Lu Ming. What business do you have here? Lu Ming asked coldly. It's nothing. We saw that your sealing technique was not bad, so we wanted to cooperate with you. One of the short-haired young men said with a faint smile. The aura of a 9th-level martial royal realm expert was released from his body and locked onto Lu Ming. Cooperation? I'm not interested. I prefer to be alone. Lu Ming rejected him directly. After being rejected by Lu Ming, the short-haired teenager's face turned cold. He said in a threatening tone, Brat, you're only at the 7th level of the martial royal realm. You'd better see the situation clearly. As soon as he finished speaking, the aura on his body grew stronger, forming a terrifying pressure that pressed down on Lu Ming. The threat was self-evident. At the same time, the other 3 young men also released their auras and pressed toward Lu Ming. 1 peak LV9 martial royal realm and 2 peak LV8 martial royal realm experts. The 4 experts surrounded Lu Ming with gloomy eyes. Not far away, Yin Kai was gloating. Haha, who told this brat to be so arrogant? Let's see how he dies now. Yun Shi, this has nothing to do with us, so you'd better not interfere. Yin Kai sneered and reminded Yin Shi not to make a move. Yin Shi frowned. However, the other party had 2 people in the 9th level of the martial royal realm. Even if she wanted to help, she was afraid that she would be powerless. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold. He looked around and spat out a word coldly. Get lost. His words made the 4 young men's faces sink. Brat, if it wasn't for the fact that you have some value, I would have slapped you to death right now. Now I'll give you 2 options. The first is to hand over the demonic evil crystals you have, and then obediently follow us and help us hunt for demonic evil crystals. The second option is death. Which one do you choose? The short-haired teenager said coldly. I'll choose the other 2 paths. Lu Ming said. Which 2? The short-haired teenager was stunned and asked subconsciously. The first condition is for you to get lost immediately. The second condition is for you to die. Lu Ming said. The 4 young men were stunned. Brat, you dare to play with us? You're looking for death. The short-haired teenager's eyes were filled with cold killing intent. A lightning sword appeared in his hand, and he slashed it at Lu Ming. Kill! Lu Ming shouted and activated his divine sword technique, attacking the other party's soul. The short-haired teenager's sword stopped halfway and he roared. Whoosh! Lu Ming held the black dragon spear and pierced through the short-haired man, nailing him to the ground. Since he was going to make a move, Lu Ming would not show any mercy. He immediately launched a thunderous attack and killed his opponent. The other 3 people were stunned. They never expected Lu Ming to be so terrifying that he could kill the short-haired teenager in one move. The short-haired teenager was a 9th-level martial royal realm expert, 2 levels higher than Lu Ming. Yet he was killed in one move. By the time the 3 of them reacted, it was already too late. The 7 sealing gates appeared around them, and the terrifying sealing power made it difficult for them to move. They unleashed their full power in an attempt to destroy the sealing gate. Kill! Then the godly sword technique burst out and stabbed into the 3 people's bodies. Their souls felt like they were about to be torn apart. "Ah no, spare my life!" the 3 young men shouted in fear. However, what welcomed them were Lu Ming's 3 terrifying spear tips. The spear light pierced through the 3 young men and they all died. With a wave of his hand, Lu Ming kept the 4 young men's storage rings, then cast a cold glance at Yun Kai. Yun Kai's entire body trembled in fear, his heart turning cold and his face as pale as a sheet. For experts, including those in the 9th level of the martial royal realm, could not even fight back against Lu Ming. They were killed in an instant. With such combat strength, killing him was as easy as turning over his hand. This Lu Ming, how is he so strong? How can he be so strong? Yin Kai roared in his heart. Although they both had a superior Great Earth spiritual body, Lu Ming's combat strength was much higher than the others. It was hard for him to accept. In fact, Lu Ming's combat strength was not much higher than that of the short-haired teenager. Earlier on, the few of them had underestimated Lu Ming. Lu Ming's godly sword technique and the 9 seals of the divine gate worked together flawlessly. It was too amazing. As long as one's combat strength did not exceed Lu Ming's by too much, one would only be dead under Lu Ming's attack. If he was a half-saint, Lu Ming's 2 moves would not be of much use. Lu Ming's current soul force was barely close to that of a half-saint. Although the divine sword technique could shake the soul of a half-saint, it would not be so serious, and the other party would be able to resist it. The 9 seals of the Gate of God would also be defeated by the other party. However, a 9th-level martial royal realm upper earthly spiritual body genius could not withstand 2 moves from Lu Ming. Lu Ming could indeed kill him easily. Lu Ming cast a cold glance at Yun Kai. Then, he flapped his black wings and soared into the sky, leaving the place. After Lu Ming left, Yun Kai heaved a long sigh of relief. The pressure that Lu Ming had given him just now was too great. This kid! Yun Kai gritted his teeth. Roar! Roar! At this time, a few more demonic creatures rushed out of the canyon. Yun Shi and the others gathered their thoughts and began to fight the demonic creatures. There were only a few demonic creatures, so it wasn't difficult for them to take care of them. It didn't take long for them to seize the demonic evil crystals. Buzz! And NBSB whoosh. At this time, there was another sound in the sky. 3 figures appeared above them, and a terrifying pressure pressed down on the 4 of them. It's them! The WN clan's chosen. Yun Kai said with a pale face. The 3 people in the sky were the distinguished young man from the Wan family, and the 2 young men in purple. So you are from the Cloud Emperor Mountain. Now hand over all the demonic evil crystals you have. A young man in purple stepped out and said coldly. What? You want to rob our demonic fiend crystals? Yun Shi said angrily. If you don't give it to us, we'll kill you. Hurry up. We don't have time to waste on you. The young man in purple said. You guys. Yun Shi was furious, but she was helpless. She glanced at the noble young man with fear. That noble young man was definitely an extremely terrifying figure. The pressure he gave her was too great. She had a feeling that the noble young man only needed one move to kill her. Chapter 1598. 1598 Launching Lu Ming. In the end, Yin Shi and the others had no choice but to take out all the demonic evil crystals and give them to the young man in purple. The purple shirt young man handed it to the noble young man respectfully. After the noble youth put it away, he turned around to leave. Wait a moment, Yun Kai called out. The noble youth turned around and looked at Yun Kai, indifferently saying, What's wrong? Do you want to die? No, it's my honor to present my demonic evil crystals to you. I have an important piece of news to tell you. There's a person who has at least hundreds of demonic evil crystals, or even more. Yunkai hurriedly said. A few hundred? The noble youth's eyes were burning with passion. Kid, who has the ability to get a few hundred demonic evil crystals? If you lie, you're asking for death, you know? A young man in purple shouted coldly. I'm not lying. We can all testify that the man has mastered a sealing technique that can quickly seal the demonic creatures and then seize the demonic evil crystals. This place is filled with dense demonic chi, which has not dissipated yet. It's caused by the man just now, Yunkai said. Yunkai, you. Yunshi scolded. She did not expect Yunkai to be so despicable that he wanted to push Lu Ming out. Yunkai's eyes flickered with a ruthless light, and he didn't look at Yunshi. That's right. The demonic chi here is indeed very dense. Who is that person? The noble youth said. You've all seen that person. The kid who was with us previously even defeated one of you by luck. His name is Lu Ming. Yunkai hurriedly said. So it's him. The noble young man's eyes flashed with a sharp light and said, You'd better not let me find out. You're lying to me. Tell me, which direction did he go? That direction. Yunkai pointed in the direction where Lu Ming had left. Let's go, the distinguished young man said. He led the two young men in purple in the direction that Lu Ming had left and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Yunkai, you've gone too far. Lu Ming has no grudges with us. We came in together and let him leave alone. That's too much. Yunshi looked at Yunkai with a disappointed expression. Why are you in such a hurry? Don't tell me you've taken a fancy to that kid? Yunkai sneered. You. Don't spout nonsense. Yunshi said, blushing. That brat doesn't know what's good for him. He's so arrogant. I don't like him. He's just from the Azure continent. He has to be respectful in front of my Cloud Emperor mountain. Otherwise he'll die. Yunkai said coldly, his eyes filled with jealousy. Yunshi sighed, filled with loathing for Yunkai. Yunkai was too narrow-minded. Of course, Lu Ming did not know that the Wan family's paragon was already looking for him. He continued to search for demonic creatures and seized demonic fiend crystals. Along the way, he seized dozens of demonic evil crystals. He already had nearly 300 demonic fiend crystals on him. Of course, most of them were at LV6 Martial Royal Realm. There were even some at LV5, LV8, and LV9. Although there were few of them, they were still a huge fortune. If he were to refine it, his soul power would definitely increase greatly. Roar! A demonic leopard with amazing speed actually ran away when it saw that it was no match for the opponent. This was a demonic creature at the peak of the 9th level Martial Royal Realm. Lu Ming would not let it escape. Where do you think you're going? Lu Ming cast the wind elemental technique, coupled with the black wings, and chased after the demonic leopard at top speed. However, when the demonic leopard ran, it was like a bolt of black lightning. Lu Ming could not catch up with it for a while. It seems like I have to find some time to cultivate a movement technique domain martial technique. The wind element technique can't keep up. Lu Ming pondered in his heart. As his cultivation level increased, the wind elemental technique was gradually becoming insufficient. He had to cultivate stronger martial arts techniques. Bubble. Lu Ming sent a voice transmission to Bubbles. The pagoda floating above his head emitted the sound of a bubble. Then, a transparent bubble suddenly appeared and enveloped the demonic leopard. The demonic leopard was frozen in place. Lu Ming rushed over. His hand was like a dragon's claw as he grabbed the demonic leopard's head and pulled out a demonic fiend crystal. Zhen Yuan poured in and obliterated the spirit of the demonic fiend crystal. At this moment, Lu Ming looked behind him. The sound of something breaking through the air was heard. 3 figures came at top speed and appeared in Lu Ming's line of sight. It's them. Lu Ming frowned slightly. The 3 people who had appeared were the 3 from the Wan family. I finally found this guy. A young man in purple laughed. After a few breaths, the 3 people from the Wan family appeared in front of Lu Ming. 2 of them, who were young men in purple, surrounded Lu Ming in a flash. What's wrong? Back then, one of them was defeated, and now it's time for another to fight? Lu Ming frowned and said coldly, Brat, you only won against me because I was careless. The young man in purple who was defeated by Lu Ming earlier said with a gloomy expression. Boy, I heard that you have a large number of demonic evil crystals and know a sealing technique. Now, hand over all your demonic evil crystals and follow us to hunt for them. If you do that, I will spare your life. Thereafter my demonic fiend crystals and the sealing technique again. But how did they know I have a large number of demonic fiend crystals? Lu Ming's eyes turned cold. These people didn't see him hunting a large number of demons. I think you've made a mistake. I'm alone, so how can I have a large number of demonic evil crystals? Since I entered here, I've only obtained a few demonic evil crystals. If you want them, I'll give them to you. Besides, I don't know any sealing techniques. Lu Ming said. Brat, don't try to quibble. It was said by a brat who was with you before. It's said by your own people. How can it be wrong? A young man in purple sneered. One of our own. Open the clouds. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He guessed that Yun Kai must have told him. A cold killing intent flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. Yun Kai was always at odds with him. It seemed like he would kill him if he had the chance. Previously, he came here by taking the teleportation formation of the Cloud Emperor Mountain. In the future, he would have to pass by the Cloud Emperor Mountain when he left. That was why he kept showing mercy to Yun Kai. However, it seemed that it was useless to show mercy now. The other party would only become more aggressive. If there was a chance, Lu Ming would kill him. Kid, you have nothing to say now, right? Hurry up and hand it over. Come with us and help us seal the demonic creature. Chapter 1599. 1599 The Three Stages of a Half-Saint Buzz. The pagoda above Lu Ming's head exuded a mysterious wave. Bubbles made her move. She wrapped Lu Ming in the space-time domain. Lu Ming's figure flashed, and he dodged the noble young man's attack. At this moment, the distinguished young man scanned the storage ring that Lu Ming threw to him with his spiritual sense, and found that it was empty. He knew that Lu Ming had fooled him. Die! A light spot lit up in the palm of the noble young man. A combat sword flew out and slashed at Lu Ming. The power of the sword was extremely terrifying. Facing this sword, Lu Ming only had one thought, and that was that he could not be defeated. This noble young man was definitely a half-saint, and an extremely terrifying one at that. Buzz! The black wings appeared and flashed rapidly. Lu Ming rushed to the right with a swish, avoiding the sword light of the noble youth. You can't escape. The noble young man's eyes were as cold as a knife. Lu Ming, a mere 7th-level martial emperor, had dared to trick him, and even killed a member of the Wan family in front of him. In his heart, he had already sentenced Lu Ming to death. His body seemed to have turned into a divine weapon as he chased after Lu Ming. Buzz! At this moment, the pagoda above Lu Ming's head emitted a mysterious fluctuation, and a space-time tunnel was formed. This space-time tunnel did not lead to the front, but to the back where another purple-robed youth was. Lu Ming took a step in, and appeared not far away from another young man in purple. Kill, die! Lu Ming shouted. The divine sword technique burst out, and rushed into the other party's soul. The other party screamed in pain. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Lu Ming rushed over, and killed the purple-robed young man with a punch. He then seized the other party's storage ring. Since there was already enmity between them, Lu Ming would not show any mercy. You're looking for death. Seeing that Lu Ming had killed another purple-shirt young man, the distinguished young man was furious, and his killing intent was extremely strong. All of a sudden, 8 light spots lit up on his body. 8 weapons flew out from the 8 light spots, and the terrifying battle weapon Qi wreaked havoc in the air. Holy weapons, all of them were holy weapons. In addition to the sword, all 9 weapons were holy weapons. The fusion of the 9 holy weapons battle weapon Qis was unimaginably powerful. Lu Ming's body was covered in cold air as he felt a fatal threat. Bubble, let's go. Lu Ming's black wings flickered as he retreated frantically. Then Bubbles made a move and a space-time tunnel was formed. Lu Ming rushed in directly. Stay here and kill. The noble youth roared as he slashed his sword, causing terrifying ripples to appear in the air. Boom! The terrifying sword radiance slashed at the space-time tunnel, destroying the space-time and everything. The space-time tunnel trembled violently, and then collapsed. Lu Ming was blasted out of the space-time tunnel, just as he was halfway through the journey. What terrifying battle power! He can even destroy the space-time tunnel. Let's go. Lu Ming cast the wind elemental art. Energy kept flowing into the air-frozen bead. His black wings flapped wildly. Lu Ming turned into a stream of light and flew forward at top speed. Buzz! Behind him, his saint weapon trembled. The noble youth turned into a sword light, chasing after Lu Ming at an extreme speed. He was so fast that he surpassed Lu Ming's speed, and the distance between the two of them was rapidly closing. What an amazing speed! I'll take you to a place then. There was a cold glint in Lu Ming's eyes. He slowly changed his direction and flew towards a mountain. The young man chased after him, and in the blink of an eye, he had crossed a long distance. The distance between Lu Ming and the distinguished young man was getting closer and closer. You will die today. The noble youth's cold voice came from behind. You sound very confident, but how did I kill your two subordinates? Lu Ming's mocking voice was heard, causing the noble youth's killing intent to grow even stronger. Roar! Roar! A terrifying roar came from the front, and demonic chi soared into the sky. We're here! Lu Ming's eyes lit up. When he had been hunting demonic creatures, he had passed by this place and found that there were terrible demonic creatures gathering here. He had seen a few of them at random, and they were all at the half-saint level, so he had bypassed them. Now he could use these demonic creatures to stop the noble young man. Buzz! Lu Ming flew straight towards the source of the roar. In the next moment, a huge valley appeared before his eyes. In the valley, many terrifying demonic creatures were wandering around, roaring from time to time. Their power was shocking, and there was a faint saint might permeating the air. At a glance, there were at least a dozen demons, all of which were at the half-saint level. Lu Ming dashed into the valley without any hesitation. Roar! 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 At once, the demonic creatures went berserk. Demonic chi surged, and they roared like thunder as they charged at Lu Ming. Bang! A demonic creature that looked like a giant wolf smacked Lu Ming with its claws. Lu Ming's body shattered like glass. It was a shadow, but Lu Ming's body had already appeared on the other side. The bubble wrapped Lu Ming in the space-time domain. Lu Ming's body flashed rapidly, as if he was shuttling through space-time. He avoided the attacks of the half-saint demons, and continued to venture deeper into the valley. You think you can stop me with these demons? Ridiculous kill! The noble young man's cold voice sounded, and he also rushed into the valley. His 9 saint weapons circled around him, and a terrible chi of battle weapons gathered. A sword light cut through, and a half-saint demonic creature's body was directly blown apart, turning into a rolling mass of demonic chi. Then, the noble young man punched with his other hand. The honorable young man's fist seemed to have turned into a divine weapon that could break anything. Boom! A half-saint demonic creature was smashed by a punch. He reached out and grabbed a demonic evil crystal. What powerful strength! Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. The noble young man's strength was beyond his imagination. They were all half-saints, but the demons were killed by the noble young man in one move. The noble young man's every move contained the power of the laws. It was obvious that he had already comprehended the laws. There were strong and weak half-saints. Half-saints were divided into 3 stages according to their realms. In the first stage, one would comprehend the ultimate domain and become a half-saint. The domain above the 9th level was the ultimate domain. As long as one comprehended the ultimate domain, they would be a half-saint. The second stage was to comprehend the power of the laws. After comprehending the laws, he was much more powerful than a half-saint in the first stage. As for the third stage, it was the body of the laws. He was only half a step away from the saint realm. As long as he condensed his saint heart and transformed his true essence into saint power, he would be in the saint realm. When the law was used, the power of the spirit body would reach a terrifying level, far beyond the second stage. The noble young man should be in the second stage of half-saint. Bang! Bang! One by one, the half-saint demons were crushed by the noble young man. They turned into demonic chi, and then condensed again. He did not linger in the battle. He dashed past and charged toward Lu Ming. Chapter 1600. 1600 Heavenly Spiritual Body Roar. Roar. At this time, a burst of terrifying roars came from the depths of the valley. The earth shook, and more than 20 demons rushed out all of a sudden. They were all at the half-saint level, and some were equivalent to the second stage of half-saint. However, regardless of whether they were at the first stage or the second stage of the half-saint realm, they were all killed by the noble young man in one move. This person's battle prowess was too strong, reaching a shocking level. With the help of the bubbles, Lu Ming dodged the attacks of the demons and continued to venture deeper into the valley. Roar. An earth-shaking roar was heard as a beam of demonic chi shot up into the sky. Bang! Bang! Heavy footsteps were heard as a huge creature walked out of the valley. It was a demonic bear that was 100 meters tall. It was like a small mountain, and with every step it took, the ground would rumble. Roar. The demonic bear roared, and the wind howled. Terrifying saintly might filled the air. Saint Realm. This demonic bear was a true saint. The demonic bear tried to slap Lu Ming. Not good. Lu Ming retreated frantically to one side of the valley. At the same time, he used his holy weapon shield to block in front of him, and his black wings to protect his body. Bubble's space-time domain was also added to Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming retreated, as if he was traveling through space and time. Boom! The demonic bear's palm slammed down, and the bubble's space-time domain continued to collapse. Finally, with a bang, it struck the sacred weapon shield, which then struck the black wings. It was as if Lu Ming had been hit by a huge mountain. His body was like a cannonball, crashing into the wall of the valley at the side. With a loud bang, he crashed into the wall, and gravel flew everywhere. Lu Ming spat out a mouthful of blood, his face pale. The existence of the Saint Realm was too terrifying. Lu Ming was far from it. Even with the help of the bubbles, he could not avoid it. The space-time domain was directly destroyed. However, the time and space domain had also blocked a large portion of the demonic bear's power. After that, it was blocked by the holy weapon shield and the black wings. Although Lu Ming was beaten until he spat out blood, he was not seriously injured. Is this the power of the Saint Realm? The Divine Sun is the #1 heaven's favorite of the Azure continent. How strong must he be after breaking through to the Saint Realm? A thought flashed across Lu Ming's mind. He felt great pressure. He didn't have much time left. There was only less than a year and a half before the next treasure sealing assembly. He had to quickly break through in this time. Roar! After the demonic bear slapped Lu Ming away, it was as if it had swatted away a fly. Then, it ignored Lu Ming and rushed toward the distinguished young man. In its eyes, the noble young man was the greater threat. The demonic bear stomped on the ground, and its mountain-like palms swept toward the noble youth. So what if he's a saint? Fight! The noble young man roared. His battle intent was like a rainbow, and his messy hair was dancing wildly. He circulated his combat strength to the extreme. The chi of 9 saint weapons gathered on the sword in his hand, and he slashed out a dazzling sword light. Boom! The sword radiance and the demonic bear's palm collided with a terrible boom. The terrifying chi spread out and sent several half-saint demonic creatures flying and exploding in the air. It was so shocking that the aftermath alone could scatter half-saint demons. Bang! 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 After the boom, the noble young man's body trembled. He stepped in the void and retreated 8 or 9 steps, while the demonic bear's towering body remained as still as a mountain. The noble young man was no match for the saint demonic creature. It was too difficult for a non-saint to become a battle saint, and the gap was too great. Roar! The demonic bear roared and continued to step forward, slapping toward the noble young man. The noble young man's aura grew stronger and stronger. 3 more light spots lit up in his body, and 3 more holy weapons flew out. A total of 12 saint weapons floated around him, and the power of their battle weapon chi was extremely strong. In the void above the noble young man, a shadow suddenly appeared. In the shadow, countless weapons were dancing in the air. It was extremely mysterious. This is heaven and earth phenomenon. This person is indeed a heavenly spiritual body. Lu Ming's gaze flickered. Legend had it that the heavenly spiritual body was a person favored by the heavens. It was extremely terrifying. Once one's strength was exerted to the extreme, a heavenly phenomenon would appear in the sky. It was also known as a celestial phenomenon, a heavenly spiritual body. No wonder his combat strength was so terrifying. A superior great earth spiritual body was considered a heaven's favorite, but compared to a heaven's spiritual body, it was far worse. The heavenly spiritual body was a body that was blessed by the heavens. As long as they didn't die, they would have a chance to become a monarch. It was absolutely terrifying. In the younger generation of the Azure continent, there was no one with a heaven's spiritual body. Even the number one divine son of the Azure continent only had a superior earth spiritual body. This noble youth was a heaven's favorite who was even more talented than the deity. It was just that his cultivation was not as strong as his body. Kill, die. The noble young man shouted. 11 saint weapons appeared around him and whizzed towards the demonic bear. He himself held his sword and attacked the demonic bear. Boom, boom, boom. After a few consecutive exchanges, the noble young man was still at a disadvantage, but he actually withstood the demonic bear's attack. For someone who was not a saint to be able to battle a saint, it showed how terrifying the heavenly spiritual body was. Roar, roar, roar. At this time, more half-saint demons rushed out and wandered around, but they couldn't get close to the battle. A huge demonic tiger charged at Lu Ming. Let's go all out. This time Lu Ming did not dodge. Instead, he charged straight at the demonic tiger. The demonic tiger opened its bloody mouth and tried to swallow Lu Ming. Its mouth was so huge that it looked like it was going to swallow an entire house. Lu Ming didn't dodge or avoid it. He rushed directly into the demonic tiger's mouth. The moment he rushed in, Lu Ming's body entered the mountain and river diagram. Only one mountain and river diagram appeared in the demonic tiger's mouth. The mountain and river diagram was a treasure refined by an emperor-level expert. Even if it was swallowed by the demonic tiger, it would be fine. Lu Ming spread his spiritual sense and paid attention to the battle outside. At this moment, the noble young man had already exchanged more than 10 moves with the demonic bear. He was gradually losing and was completely at a disadvantage. It was swallowed by the demonic tiger. The scene of Lu Ming being swallowed by the demonic soul naturally fell into the eyes of the noble young man. A sharp glint flashed in his eyes. He did not believe that Lu Ming would die so easily. He was probably hiding in the demonic tiger's body to avoid other demonic creatures. Indeed, when Lu Ming entered the demonic tiger's body, all the other demonic creatures had their eyes on the distinguished young man. They surrounded him and stared at him like tigers eyeing their prey. Don't think that I can't do anything to you just because you're hiding in the body of a demonic creature. I'll kill you all the same. The noble young man's eyes were filled with cold killing intent. He was determined to kill Lu Ming. Go! He raised his hand and the 12 holy weapons, a shield and a small mountain, rushed towards the demonic bear. His body flashed, and he rushed towards the demonic tiger that had swallowed Lu Ming. The demonic bear roared and slapped out with its paw, sending the saint weapon shield and the hill flying. However, this also bought time for the noble youth. His body had already appeared in front of the demonic tiger. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.